Calling to order the regular meeting of the Wheeling Plan Commission for December 19th, 2019. Please stand for the pledge. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioner Blanova is absent with prior notice. Commissioner Sprague.
Here.
Commissioner Kalis is present. Commissioner Yednick.
Here.
Commissioner Thompson.
Here.
Commissioner Creech.
Present.
And Chairman Johnson.
Here. Ms. Nyes, any changes to the agenda this evening?
I just wanted to note that the agenda item with fire station, it is agenda item, I don't know if I have the agenda.
2019-27.
2019-27 is going to be continued to January 8th, 2020.
As well as PC 19-24 for the record.
And PC 19-24. So we are not going to be having that public hearing today. It's going to be continued, if anyone was here for that. That's all I have.
Anything else? No. Citizens' concerns and comments. I don't see anybody that signed up. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on anything that is not on the agenda this evening? Okay, seeing no one, we can move on. Consent items. Docket number SCBA 19-45, Kelly's, 30 West Dundee for a wall sign. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Kalis, Commissioner Sprague, roll call.
Commissioner Kalis votes yes. Commissioner Sprague.
Yes.
Commissioner Yednick.
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson.
Yes.
Commissioner Creech.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes. Items for review. Docket number SCBA 19-42, the learning experience, 339 West Dundee Road. Do we have a petitioner here tonight? Okay. Ms. Nyes, anything on this? Is seeking approval for 4 wall signs. Ms. Nyes?
Yes, the applicant is seeking approval for 4 wall signs, all the same size, 1 on each facade of the building, so north, south, east, and west. Each property is, per the code, allowed 1 wall sign per building, but additional signage may be permitted at the discretion of the Plan Commission. So in your packets, it shows the criteria that should be evaluated when reviewing the additional signage. And there's the 4 criteria, whether, number 1, whether the sign is necessary for the public convenience. 2, whether the sign would create visual clutter. Number 3, whether the sign would add to the visual interest of the structure. And number 4, whether the sign is appropriate for the character of the area. And I'll put up, here's a overview showing the 4 sign locations that are the circles in red. And this is what the sign will look like. And again, they're all the same size.
If the petitioner would like to come up. And please state your name and business address for the record.
Brian Shaner, 1120 West National Avenue in Addison, Illinois.
Okay, please describe what it is you want to do here.
Well, exactly what was just said. They're looking to have every elevation have a sign on all 4, all 4 elevations. That's honestly and truthfully all I know.
Okay. Well, then let's go right to the commission. Commissioner Creech.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So are you with the developer or the,
We're the installer,
oh, so you're with the sign company?
yes.
So all the information you have is they want to put one on all four sides?
From what I overheard, and our permit lady couldn't be here tonight, so I got to come. There was originally they had wanted the four signs, and that was the original submittal. And that was what I was told, that these were the original drawings, and that's what they had proposed that they wanted to begin with. I believe this had started on paper about a year ago. So.
Well, I know that there's been some other issues with this particular project. Has any of those issues been resolved? Has the rest of those issues for this project been resolved?
Those are being worked out separately with the village and the entities and other entities involved, but all that's before right now is just on the sign and whether or not it should be. So those are kind of separate and be working its way through the process.
Thank you. I really don't have any problems with the signage on all four elevations. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Commissioner Sprague.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really don't have a problem with the four signs either. I just was kind of wondering why you need a sign on all four sides, especially over the playground, seeing that's not an entrance from the parking lot. Do you have any idea why?
We've done quite a few of these, and they do like their signage, even to where it couldn't go illuminated. We've done a lot of the non-illuminated. They like their branding. They like it as much. They like to have as much as they can. So
That's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Thompson.
No questions. I agree with the four places. And I do see where they want it in the back too, because it now faces the new apartment units that are there. So I think it's just, and also the park district. So there's some parking and stuff like that that I know people use back there. So I can definitely see why they'd want it in the back as well. But that's all I have.
Commissioner Kalis.
Thank you, Chairman. I have no questions about the signs.
Commissioner Yednek.
I guess I'm kind of inclined to make a motion that we defer this item until the petitioner would be here to represent themselves. Nothing against you, but as Commissioner Creech mentioned, this gentleman is just here to say, I'm got hired to install four signs.
Do you have a
And
question?
he really can't answer any of our questions. Pardon?
Is there a question that he can't answer?
I
that you
agree
have?
with Commissioner Creech that there's been issues with this project. I'd like to have the petitioner explain the necessity of the signs, you know, like it was already stated. Maybe it's not necessary to have a sign over the playground area if we're going to make an exception to the code. I'm not making that motion. I guess I'm just throwing it out there as a thought. And if it's if the rest of the commission agrees, I'm not adamant that they think we have to hold the petitioner, but I think the petitioner should be here to be able to represent the project.
What do you want to know?
I didn't think you're the petitioner. I thought that this is the actual tenant that's representing the signs.
Well, it is the tenant that is requesting all four signs. In the lease, they said that they wanted all four signs, and so we provided them with an elevation that showed all four signs. That elevation was submitted to the village when we went through the core and shell review. It was not approved because the sign process is a separate approval. So they were really just placeholders, but the intent was to have four signs on all four sides of the building at the original onset.
Well, there's been a lot of exceptions requested in this part of the project, and guidance have not been followed, so I guess I'm just disappointed that the actual petitioner is not here to represent their case. That's all I
For
have,
all
Chairman.
intensive purposes, I am considered to be the petitioner for this.
Okay,
So if there's anything that you want to know, I'm here to address that.
okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Could you just state your name for the record, please?
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm Brad Friedman.
And your business address?
Well, I guess that would be 4 Executive Boulevard, Suite 200 in Suffern, New York.
Thank you. That's all you had, Commissioner Gedney?
Yes, that's all. Thank you.
All right, I'm concerned that we're setting some kind of precedence with allowing 4 sides. Is that something to be concerned about at this point?
I don't think it's something you need to be concerned about. The code allows you to make the discretion based on the context of the request. Here, as some of the, it's obviously up to each commissioner, but you have a town center that's surrounded by different uses and buildings, so it is more unique than just a normal storefront. So I can see where you could find the circumstances warrant additional signage. The size of the signs all meet the size requirements, it's just having more. So I don't think you're setting a precedent because there's been reasons articulated as to why additional signage may be necessary or unique or required in this.
Just to address the concern about the additional signage and why it's being asked. This is a unique building. It has all 4 sides. There is no backside to it. So it costs us more money because we're putting higher materials on all 4 sides. We want it to look nice on all 4 sides. And the tenant wants signage on all 4 sides to identify the building, which has visibility on all 4 sides from all the surrounding uses in the area. I mean, you know this better than anybody. No matter where you are, you can make an argument that there are people there looking at the building, looking at the sign. Whether you're in the Park District, whether you're at the rec center, whether you're at the Performance Pavilion, whether you're at the residential building, whether you're coming from CityWorks or whether you're at the movie theater. It has 4 sides. It's surrounded by 4 sides. It's got visibility on all 4 sides.
Now, the original submission that we pushed to this meeting, the write-up was for only 2 signs. And the reason we pushed it because we caught the fact that the drawing showed 4.
That's correct, and that was a mistake on the general contractor's part because the drawings that were submitted only had the 2 signs as opposed to the 4 signs from the original set. So I did have to go back to my architect and ask why only 2 signs were on those drawings. It was a mistake on their part, but we did.
Well, actually, I saw 4 signs on the drawing last time. It was.
Well, so those are
was
the elevations that were submitted for the core and shell approval, but the signs were placeholders only,
Okay.
right? Because it's a separate process. So, but we put them there just so you could see what the building would look like, what the intent was. Every time we submit drawings, exterior drawings, we always have signage up with the tenant's name up there. And it's just a placeholder because of the separate approval process. But the intent has always been there from the beginning.
Okay. I am kind of surprised that you didn't go with a bigger sign on the north face, which I know would also trigger
Ultimately, it is the tenant's call in terms of the specs, the sizing. They work directly with their preferred vendors, right? So Learning Experience has locations throughout the entire country, and this is what, I mean, they hire someone to put their signage up. So I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, because I don't think it's going to be very visible from Dundee Road.
You know, CityWorks went for the larger sign, they went for the variance. I thought that was the right thing to do, and I, encouraged them and approved that. But this is what the Learning Experience has requested. I don't know, do you really want the elephant that much bigger?
Pretty cute.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission?
His name is Bubbles, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bubbles.
No questions.
Well, in that case, do I hear a motion to approve Docket number SCBA 19-45.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Kalis, Commissioner Creech, roll call.
Commissioner Kalis votes yes. Commissioner Creech.
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague.
Yes.
Commissioner Yednick.
Abstain.
Commissioner Thompson.
Yes.
And Chairman Johnson.
Yes.
5 votes yes.
Of course, have something for you to sign.
Thanks.
Thank you, Brad.
No problem.
Thanks for coming from New York.
Well, technically, that's where the corporate office
Get
is.
in.
I just float around.
And spend a lot of time here.
Yeah.
All right. Who wants to come sign? Just two. How many do you want? You keep one.
Like you haven't done this before.
Thank you. Yeah. All right, next up is docket number 2019-25, Spa Forest at 350 East Dundee for special use for day spa with submersion pools, and PC 19-22, also Spa Forest, the major site plan and appearance review. Mr. Secretary.
Thank you. Spa Forest 2019-25, Steve Chon, contract purchaser, seeks a special use as required under Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 19-06, Commercial Districts, 19-10, Use Regulations, and associated sections, in order to permit a day spa with submersion pools located at 350 East Dundee Road, which is zoned B3, General Commercial and Office District. A special use, as defined in the zoning code, is the use of a parcel of land that requires review and consideration before approval due to the potential for negative impacts on surrounding properties. In order to be considered for a special use, the petitioner is required to demonstrate through testimony to the Plan Commission at a public hearing that their request meets the standards for village code, including, but not limited to, the proposed use will not damage the enjoyment or use of the surrounding properties. Prior to the public hearing, the petitioner provides written statements meant to show that their request meets the standards for special use as established in Title 19. The Commission chairperson will typically direct that these statements be entered into the record without a full reading of them at the hearing. Based upon the testimony and supporting materials submitted, the Plan Commission will make findings in support of or against the petitioner's testimony and report those findings to the village board.
Thank you. Ms. Nyes, anything on this one?
I think we'll go ahead and let the petitioner do the presentation first.
All right. This is a public hearing, so I need to swear you in. Raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're giving tonight to be the truth?
Yes, I do.
Name and business address.
Yes. My name is Jared Plassick. I work for Manhard Consulting, Civil Engineering, and our business address is 1 Overlook Point in Lincolnshire, Illinois.
All right. Go ahead
With that, I'll take it away.
Take it away.
We're all very excited. I'm representing the ownership group, who's also here in the audience as well, should there be any questions that arise. But we're excited to be offering this unique destination location here to the village of Wheeling. And the site, as you all are acquainted with is located at 350 East Dundee Road. It's currently an existing vacant building, which previously was a Solex campus, or Solex building for the use. It also, I think, was a bank at one point. Part of the attraction for this site for our client is trying to repurpose this existing building. That's something that they look at in terms of potential uses, et cetera. So here are some various items related to the existing building, existing first floor, second floor, third floor plan, et cetera. Okay. The intent is not to change the existing building itself, the exterior of it, other than providing some maintenance and cleanup of the existing building so it provides a fresher look to it, including power washing, et cetera. And the goal would be, as we've outlined with some materials that we've provided, would be to match, to the best of our ability, the existing characteristics of the building. We are requesting a special use as previously listed for a day spa with submersion pools. The goal is to be adding on some additions, some first floor additions, which will both feature roof decks as well, with the roof deck to the east being a outdoor pool area and the roof deck to the west being a sun deck, essentially, where you can lay out and enjoy the warm weather during the 6 months a year that it is warm, which we're aware of. Parking space in the parking lot to the north will remain unchanged. It will be potentially milled and overlaid is what we're planning on doing to freshen up the look, but the actual purpose of the lot and the characteristics that define the lot will remain the same. On the east and west side of the buildings, the west side, we'll be demolishing the existing bank area with the tellers and the drive-through, et cetera. We are also looking to remove that drive connection to Dundee Road. On the east side, we would be looking to maintain the general characteristic of the existing parking area and the existing drive. Oops, we'll go back to this in a sec. Maintain the existing characteristics of that with the intention to provide a turnaround area, which is why the striping is located there. There would be a drop-off and a turnaround at the main entrance, which is located on the east side of the building. The existing lights throughout the site, that was what this is for, is the intent would be to maintain the existing light poles, but to replace them with a new LED fixtures as they are badly in need of update. Where needed, we would be looking to potentially repaint the poles, and should they be in deemed exterior bad use, et cetera, then we would be looking to potentially replace them entirely. With that, the landscaping would be all to village code, and we'd be providing landscaping similar to the plan as shown here. As previously mentioned, the plan is to provide a drop-off. So the functionality of this drop-off is, again, to provide the whole idea with this spa forest that we are providing is an upscale amenity, and as part of the amenity is the ability to drop off somebody on your way to then parking your car in the rear of the complex. Again, this allows for the ability to drop off family members, et cetera, as someone else from the family goes and parks. It also allows you to drop someone off and then exit the site. The intent of the site at the moment is for this to be the main entrance, and then you would come into the site, park in the rear should you wish, make your way up to the front that way, or as previously discussed, come through here, drop off, turn around and make your way to the back. As requested by village staff, we've done an auto turn analysis that shows a shuttle van would be able to perform this turnaround maneuver and would allow for a sufficient space. Again, this is a repurposing of the existing parking lot that was previously here. We're not looking to change the geometry, and a large portion of that is due to the presence of the floodplain and trying to avoid making any kind of changes that would require additional fill. We're providing here a compensatory storage area for those areas where we are providing some fill per village and also per MWRD requirements. And the last item I'd like to point out is, again, we're looking to repurpose this rear area, which would allow for some storage. There's a roll-up door that will be located here, which would allow you to drive up and unload. Again, there's also an existing loading dock that is back here as well. And then there's a trash enclosure currently located here that would be providing an exterior trash enclosure for the facility. Here is a look at what the eventual exterior would look like from the front lobby. Again, this kind of gives you kind of the feel for what we're going for, and that outdoor pool deck overlooking out to the river and giving that visual appeal from the front. And another look from the roof. So we thought the best way to go through it and approach is, we know this is a unique use and there's a lot of items going on within the building itself. Being a spa facility, we thought the best way to do it is to just essentially walk you through the facility. So some of the amenities that we're offering are the outdoor and indoor pool as well. There's the sun deck, which was previously outlined on the west side of the building. There's locker room, shower areas, sauna, and the list goes on. Some basic information is, right now we are pursuing having this open for select areas only, which we'll highlight as we go through this, 24 hours a day, just so the village is aware of why we are pursuing this. There is a nearby facility, the King Spa in Skokie, which does offer some similar amenities. We think that we're providing much more upscale finishes, but it does provide similar facilities, and it is open 24 hours a day. So one of the driving reasons for that is we're afraid that not being open during those additional hours may lead to a concern from a market share perspective. Right now, we are planning then to have 3 shifts, with the first shift being 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., roughly 40 employees. Second shift, 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., again, 45 employees. And again, we don't expect a lot of traffic during the evening hours, so our shift is greatly reduced during that time. The busy hours that we would anticipate and peak hours would be weekends, as well as after your typical work day for 5 to 9 p.m. And our busy seasons are actually, believe it or not, December to February, because there's not a whole lot of other things to do. Again, our client has other facilities in New York City as well. There's 2 facilities in New York that have been open for some time. He also has facilities in Texas. So he has a good sense of how this business model works, so this isn't unusual to him. This is obviously all the uses that we offer. I'm going to go through each of these in detail, so no need to read through them now. All right, so with that, I think the easiest way is to kind of walk you through the floor plan. So as previously outlined, your main entrance is on the east side of the building. This is the building extension that we're proposing over here. It'll consist of a lobby space and also some mechanical rooms. While there is a mechanical penthouse at the top of the building, the spa requires a little bit more mechanical space in order to operate. Additionally, as previously outlined, there's the storage space in the rear, and then the main spa floor area here on the first floor. So walking through, you'll be coming into the lobby. Again, this is the New York City location. It gives you a sense of kind of what the lobby amenity feel is going to be like. This would be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And the phone operator or your front desk concierge would be from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Again, we would be looking to do something thematically that would work for this particular area. Every lobby is a little bit different. That would then immediately lead you into the locker room area. The locker room area is for both sexes and also for any family members, so it's shared jointly. Think, if you would like, the locker room area in some ways will resemble in terms of finishes what you would see at like a Lifetime gym. Again, this would be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is just an example picture of what that might look like. Then on the left side as you enter would be the massage rooms and a lounge area over there, the lounge space being here, which would be also with a desk that would be located there that would allow you to check in, et cetera, to the massage area back here in the back. Those services, this being a smaller room, would be Lavender and Avenue S. Avenue S is what they're classifying as a VIP package. There's also facial and couple services. Again, smaller room, bigger rooms. There's multiple different rooms. This is what their Texas location looks like. The previous one was New York City, a little bit smaller space. And this is kind of gives you an idea of the finishes where the concierge desk would be. Again, the Lavender and Avenue S are just their monikers for the massage packages offered. And this would be open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Sunday. And this is an example of kind of, I guess, the lounge. Obviously, ours would be open. That moves us to the shower areas. Shower areas are like any other shower areas that you're used to. There's some group shower areas, there's some individual shower areas, and these would be open from 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. And that kind of consists of the first floor. The other areas we aren't highlighting is there's some existing loading docks, mechanical spaces. There's a laundry room here that would operate for all of the laundry of the facility, as well as storage space both in this area here. There's some storage space here. There's also some storage space there, and then an employee space and employee lounge right there. So that carries us up to the second floor. So on the second floor will be the indoor pool area here, the outdoor pool area, the previously mentioned sun deck, and then there's the sauna rooms, there's a cafe, bar, juice bar area, there's an aqua bar, and we'll kind of start walking through all of these. So the outside pool area is one of the main features. We understand that obviously there's some challenges with the fact that winters here in Chicago are a little bit chilly. So part of what combats that is all of the water temperatures actually for all of these saunas. Again, it's kind of a pool warm experience, are set at 98 degrees year round. So that allows you to go in there, relax outside, and they do experience this in New York City. People go there and go out to their outdoor pool area. They've also offered they have a non-slip carpet type material that would be used around the pool. And there would also be some kind of heating element, not necessarily heated floors, but they would be using probably some kind of a space heaters or whatever to combat with some of the winter weather that they experience. Again, this would be open from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Here's some pictures of kind of what you would expect to see out here. You can see they've got lots of different water features and ways to enjoy it. They've also got some mushrooms always. They've got a little bit of a kid play area as well that allows for, the family environment that they're looking for. I think this one's supposed to be, it's hard to see, but there's snow here. So it's snowing. This is in Texas, believe it or not. And as you can see, there's still people using the facilities even during the snow. And they've got an outdoor bathe pool as well. So a lot of different facilities there. The kid pool is located there, bathe pool located here, and then these things, we'll get to that as I show these on the indoor pool. They actually have it set up so you basically are lounging in essentially a chair that's a couple, a foot or so deep, so it's got that kind of nice relaxation feel to it. Most people who come to these facilities are here for anywhere, sometimes as close to 5 hours. There's a lot to do. So the indoor pool, there's an indoor activity pool with a hydrojet. This is their facility as well in Texas. This kind of gives you a feel for what you would be seeing in the center of the room. Again, the hydrojets, it gives you all the amenities, and these are those kind of that lounge chair feel where you can sit there and relax, enjoy a drink, and that drink can then be purchased from the aqua bar. So the aqua bar is open from it's got varying hours. It serves cocktails and beer. It's only open starting after 12 p.m. Basically because its swap side of it is going to be the Juice Cafe and the Castle Cafe Juice Bar, which is open in the mornings. So this would be open in the mornings from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m., last order 11:30. These are typically located in the same area. Again, there's a seating area with about 36 seats that are located immediately adjacent to both of these. This kind of gives you a feel for what this looks like. This is their New York City location. Again, the finishes would resemble something similar to this. And then this is kind of that same tonic tapas bar, aqua bar feel as well. So then there's the men's and women's scrub area. This always gets a lot of questions. So it looks something like this. Basically, it's a bathing facility that has 4 different heated mineral pools. It's supposed to mimic the Asian and European traditional baths. The way ours is set up, you can kind of see that these pools aren't, centered like this particular facility is, but they're kind of spread out among individual baths. So something kind of resembling something like this. Again, the idea will be that these would be a little bit bigger than this, and it would be 1 to 2 people being able to submerge themselves in here. Again, it's a unique type of experience. Roof sun deck is like any other roof sun decks you've seen. Go out there, you sun. And then this leads us to Sauna Valley. So this is what we call the various sauna rooms that are offered. So when you look at a plan, I'm sure the first thing you go is ice room, charcoal room. What are all these things? They're, all different types of saunas. So they each give you a different unique feel. They give you a different finish materials, different set temperatures. These would be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So these would be one of the things that, again, the King Spa down the road, they offer a similar hours as this, and that's one of the driving factors for it. Again, each of these has a unique feel to it. The ice room gives you the icy feel. Charcoal room, again, is a heated room with charcoal. You've got the Loess soil sauna room. So this is, again, every one of these is kind of a little bit of a different feel on what a sauna is. And you can go from room to room as well. And there's a room lined with real plates of gold. Himalayan salt room. As you can see, a bunch of different ideas for the sauna. And then the far infrared sauna room, again, these are all open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So that kind of carries us to the third floor. So on the third floor is going to have a large open space that overlooks down into the second floor with appropriate railings and sufficient safety measures. And then kind of surrounding all the edges, again, taking advantage of that existing building with all of its natural windows, natural lighting, are various different rooms to use. So one of the places that they have are what's called relax rooms or relax zones. So again, these are essentially your chairs where you can take a relaxing nap. I mean, it's as simple as that. Again, they're set up with different sensories, environments in each of the rooms. Some of them are as simple as this. Some of them are more to this nature. There's heated floors in one of the rooms always. Again, this is to give you another luxurious option while you're at this sauna. This is the whole idea, or the spa. This is the whole idea, is to provide yet another reason to stay for a little bit longer. There's an internet game and playroom. So easiest way to think of this is, again, this is not internet gambling / gaming. This is literally like, think of your PlayStations or Xboxes or computer gaming with gaming chairs. So a gaming lounge. These are springing up all over the place. Another option for a family who's bringing older kids to this facility. Again, this is 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. There's a sushi bar up on the third floor with a full kitchen. This has seating for, I didn't have it listed here, but it's somewhere in the range of 60 guests, I believe. 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., last order at 9:30 p.m. The seating area would be open 24 hours because it's a common space, but the intent is for the kitchen to be closed at 10. Again, this kind of gives you an idea of the cafeteria that they have in a similar facility, or the sushi bar seating area. Finally, there's an open foot and body massage room up here. Again, this is offering more of the other massage rooms are kind of more that personal massage environment. This is a group massage environment. It's all open to everybody, 10 a.m., 10 p.m., and they're offering hand and foot reflexology. Finally, we've got the infrared zone. This is also open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, providing the infrared lighting, etc. There's a business lounge as well, your typical business lounge, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then that carries us up to the top floor as well. And this is just utilizing the existing mechanical room. And then there's also a stairwell addition here, because previously this mechanical room had existing stairwells that connected up to it from the central area. Obviously that central area is now open to the second floor, so we are moving a stairwell over here. So this again brings you back to the building overviews of our Spa Forest facility, which we think will be a jewel of Wheeling in terms of an amenity to provide. We like to think we also take advantage too of that wonderful fountain feature nearby. Again, the idea would be to maintain the existing facade and then extend it out to provide for our Spa Forest facility. Some exterior lighting elements that we are looking to add would be something as a visual feature, would be some kind of a very light blue, light or white LED downlighting. The intent would be for this to only be on 3 sides of the building. We are very aware of the residences to the north, and we wouldn't want to infringe on anything there. Granted, there's a pretty large sea of parking between them and us, but we are aware of that as well. And then I handed out the limestone material that we would be using for the building additions that would be looking to resemble the existing building. So that is our project, and then I'm going to allow one last thing. Again, these are the amenities that we'd be looking to be open 24 hours. Lobby, locker room, shower area, well, not 24 hours there, but the lobby and the locker room would be open 24 hours on the first floor, and then you'd have the sauna valley area on the second floor, and then the relax room and zone, infrared zone, seating area on the third floor. And with that, I'll let this animation.
You said the business lounge was 24 hours.
Oh,
also.
I did, you're right. That is correct. And then I'll let this animation walk you through our facility so you can get a kind of a sense of what ours looks like, not just the existing pictures, but kind of give you a feel of what walking through here would be. I think there was music, but I don't know where it went.
This rendering is using the existing layout of our
Yes.
location? Okay.
Yep, so this is generally what we would be looking to feature for our building. It kind of gives you an idea there. You can see the lavender massage area to the left. You're walking through the lobby, and then this is what you would be kind of seeing in terms of a seating area, lounge space. And then you can kind of see the hallway leading to the individual massage areas back there. And then in the center of these locker rooms, there's some changing areas, which allow for a couple of people to be able to go in there, and that's where you get that individual private space to be able to do any kind of changing. This would be the indoor pool effect that we would be looking for. Again, you can see how that the third floor overlooks the second floor indoor pool area. And then this is the sauna valley, sauna zone, and you can kind of see how each of these has their own rooms along the second floor wall with various seating benches along the edge. So this kind of gives you that men's bath and scrub area. You can kind of see how each of those is individualized. And here is the benefits of being able to have a large portion of the facility indoors. And you can look outdoors and see cold snow falling down, but you get the enjoyable dry sauna. But when it's warm outside, or even cold, you can go out to this outdoor pool deck, and you can kind of see how that's set up with again, we can't model necessarily the chairs, but imagine them being submerged down into the water. So we think this gives you a unique ability to look out onto that river and take advantage of the existing locale as well. And the aqua bar, and then up the stairs. You can kind of see what, again, all this is sketched up schematics in here, but this gives you a sense of how we're trying to use the entire space. With the infrared zone actually looking out and over. And this is what it would look like in the night view. We'd be taking advantage of that existing sign there, and we understand that signage will be reviewed at a later date. So that is, that's the presentation of what we look forward to hopefully bringing to your community. And with that, I'll open the floor for any questions that you may have.
This is a public hearing, so if there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this matter. Nobody signed up, so. All right. Ms. Nyes, anything you'd like to add at this point?
I have some things maybe I'll add later, but one thing I did want to point out was in the staff report, the parking count was incorrect. And if I can just scroll back through your.
Wait, here, let me, sorry. I'll let you take over.
Don't fight.
Who's driving?
Not trying to fight, we had put some of the common slides in the very rear because we figured it was going to take a while to get through all of this.
Well, you can just see it here. So on the third floor where Jared was talking about that open area, that's about 3,000 square feet. So we did not subtract that out. So when you subtract it out, they're about 10 parking spaces over. So there's also a math error in the report. So, and if you did the math correctly in the report, it would show that they were short spaces. But in actuality, when you do the count and you take out that 3,000 square feet, the parking is fine. So I just wanted to point that
Do they
out.
have a small surplus then, again?
They have 10, they're 10 extra.
Okay.
And we can tell you from existing facilities as well that this parking count supports our typical use.
Anything else?
I think I'll step in later.
Okay. All right, we'll start with Commissioner Yednek this time.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I didn't think we could address interior spaces. Is that not you're sharing the interior spaces, but I didn't know if we could comment on those or base our decision on that.
So as far as like their chosen layout of where they want to put specific places, like of the floor plan, that would probably be beyond your purview, but their types and intensity of uses within the overarching use of day spa is within your purview.
Okay, all right, yeah, because
Hours of operation within your purview, but like if you're like, you should move the relax rooms from the third floor to the second floor, like, that wouldn't be.
Okay, gotcha, okay, yeah, okay, then I guess what I wanted to ask about is kind of in our area or purview then. It seems like you're short on the restrooms. I mean, when I look at the first floor, you've got some men's and women's toilets that are more connected to the massage, but the number of toilets based on the number of lockers in the shower and the changing room just doesn't, and same thing on the third floor. I was looking and you got the restaurant up there. Now, I don't know, are there codes in the village that would dictate the number of restrooms that would be required?
I guess we would, sorry.
I was looking over at Ron to see if he knew the answer.
Toilets per capita?
I'll jump on that. I would suspect, although it's not my area of responsibility, there are sections in the building code
I would believe
that
so.
would possibly address that, but I'm not 100% sure.
And we would meet those sections of the building code as part of the building permit process.
Well, because it might change your layout then, I'm guessing, because,
It might tweak our layout, but the uses that we'd be pursuing, which is part of the purview of this hearing, would remain the same.
okay, all right, yeah. 'cause
Within the
I
actual building
thought
itself, if we had a bathroom or two, it might decrease maybe the locker room area a little bit, but the overall use and idea and intent of the complex would remain the same.
Okay, all right, just seems short. As a potential future patron, I didn't want to have to run up 3 floors to go to your restroom.
Understood.
If the first floor restrooms were all taken
Yeah.
up.
We'll be sure to keep that in
You
mind.
want us to relax, right? So,
We do,
Yeah.
we do.
And,
Gotta go.
stay out of the pool.
all right.
And then the other thing that I was a little concerned about, and staff pointed out, but you gave a lot more information. By the way, very nice presentation. I appreciated it. Thank you. The avatars at the end were interesting, kind of walking through the facility, so that was very helpful. But staff pointed out, to kind of think about the 24-hour of operation. So when you listed out, I think I was trying to track
There it is.
saunas, the saunas, the relax room,
Yep.
the infrared, the business lounge, those were all going to be 24 hours, but then it was, 4 to 7 staff people. But those areas are spread out all over. I mean, from your experience, in other facilities, are your 24-hour facilities spread as much as they would be in this building? I mean, how would your staff manage potentially, 10 to 20 clients spread out throughout the building when you only got 4 to 5 staff people on site?
I think it's a superb question, and I think if we look at it further and we believe that there would be an additional employee or two required, then is that something, that would be something that we'd be looking
So it would
to add.
depend on the usage and your usage experience?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is a new market, right? So every market's a little bit different in terms of what might be needed from an employee's standpoint. And obviously, if we see something that seems like it's an issue, we would address it accordingly by staffing up, or if we thought that we had too much staff, staffing down accordingly.
Okay.
So from an operations perspective, that's how that would be handled.
And from your experience, and when you're doing 24 hours, I mean, would we have to have concern about somebody kind of moving in there? You know, they come in at 8 in the morning and stay till 8 in the morning the next day. Is that an issue?
We wouldn't experience that as an issue because they still have to, if they were to stay past that 24-hour mark or even past a certain time during the day, they then have to pay essentially a new fee to stay any further into the next day. So that's how that's handled.
Okay. And
And again, the whole idea also with the 24-hour experience is we're seeing this as a, again, we see it as a bit of a destination, right? So somebody who may be coming from out of town may be operating on a little bit different hours than somebody else from a cultural standpoint in terms of what we might experience from typical customers. So because of that, that gives them that ability and that flexibility. And that's kind of another amenity in our eyes, is that flexibility and that ability to be able to, again, relax and not have to concern yourself as much with, oh, it's closing in 5 minutes and I have to walk out of this area.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the Westin right down the road. I can see, business travelers taking advantage of this facility. So I did have a question. This is probably more in my personal interest than necessarily the business, but how is the pricing model? Is this, I think in some of the packets it said there was like a day entry fee, but then it's a pay-as-you-go for all the additional services?
40 per day.
But then that probably is just admission, and then your services are like massage would be additional, or some of this?
Yes, massages would be additional. Certain services would be offered, the indoor pool, outdoor pool, the common space areas, the saunas would be the enter, and then,
Okay, so if you're
then
gonna-
once you schedule, in order to schedule essentially appointments at the massage, like an individual massage area.
Okay.
Or something to that nature, then yes, you would be paying additional. There's also, you can get memberships as well that allow for, like a monthly membership, right, or yearly? Yearly membership that then gives you much more free reign with the spa
Okay.
and not have to pay as you go, so to speak.
Okay, yeah, I could see, if you're hiring, or if you're booking a massage or a facial or a
Right.
manicure or something like that, that's a pay-as-you-go. Everything else
Correct.
is just entry to the facility?
Entry to the facility, and then if you wanted to eat at the sushi bar, et cetera, I mean, that's additional revenue that would be generated.
I think that's all I had. I'm looking forward to taking advantage if I can afford it when it opens, so it looks neat.
Excellent.
That's all, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Thompson?
Yeah, I'm excited about it too. I think it's going to be really interesting. My only concern when I was going to visit there was just the traffic, since we're closing off the Dundee access. The traffic going in from just Milwaukee there. It might be a bit tight if there's a car coming out, going in.
So the intent right now is, again, they want to focalize it on one entrance point. Is that what you're saying you're a little concerned about?
Right. Well, so it just seems like it's going to be a little bit tight, both that being the entrance and the exit, so one car coming out. When I drove in there, there was a city truck that was there. So just kind of going over there, it seemed a bit tight, and I'm worried about the, cars slowing down to.
Right, so what we're actually planning on doing from signage perspective, I mean, we can't fully say that you couldn't enter from one of those other entry points, but we are planning for the Milwaukee Avenue to be the main entrance and the only entrance. And just like the Dundee Road would be the exit, that's the intent at this time. So the idea is to have one constant flow of traffic through there. We understand from some out-of-town people that there's going to be, and that's why there still is the ability to turn in from Dundee, but the intent will be there will be signage that's more directing you to come around and come through that Milwaukee Avenue entrance.
Oh, okay.
So again, trying to focalize that traffic, because as you said, we want to make it as easy as possible.
Okay, great. And I like the idea with the lighting too. I think that's going to be really beautiful at night, and I appreciate the, leaving it outside of the view of the residents too, so. That's it for me.
Thank you. Just to clarify, Ms. Nyes, I believe you told me that the Milwaukee Avenue access point will be right in, right out only?
Yes, that's my understanding.
That was so we had submitted the original site plan to IDOT on October 9th, which featured a modification of the Dundee Road access point. And as a result of that, there's a little bit more jurisdictional play for IDOT. But our intent at this point would be to actually not modify any of the entrances because we aren't making any utility connections. And because of the fact that we wouldn't be modifying the actual entrance locations, the only thing we would be doing would be shutting down essentially the westernmost Dundee entrance, but we would still leave the actual entrance, much like you could see at some other locations where there's still an existing access that just gets truncated. And we would look to put some kind of a barrier to entry at that point, with the intent then that the right-in, right-out restriction from IDOT would not necessarily apply because, again, we're not doing anything that would be changing the use. So that was just freshly provided to us, the IDOT comment recently. It's something that we'll work through if necessary, because we understand, too, from the point of it, if it is a right-in, right-out that does restrict from an operations perspective access to the site.
Commissioner Creech.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. And I have to say that just about all my questions have already been asked and answered. So that's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Excellent.
Commissioner Kalis.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Jared, for presenting. That was just still trying to come back to real life. I was trying to be there, not in the cold, but appreciate you coming to Wheeling and presenting. So you said there's one competitor sort of in Skokie, right? There's nothing else around this area, and I'm curious demographically how it was chosen to come to this area.
Sure. I mean, again, a lot of the driving force from it from a demographic perspective is a cultural element in the area that might be already going to that Skokie facility to take advantage of that. Also, it's the existing building, too, that really draws the use here. I think it's got a great ability to convert easily into what we're trying to do. And, you know, again, the location is fantastic at the corner of Dundee and Milwaukee, lots of traffic. There's also the ability to access the Metra at a nearby location, so that gives you a little bit of the play from the Chicago as well. And then again, when we look at this from a demographics perspective, the only thing that we think would be in some ways comparable from an amenity perspective, and some of you might be familiar with this, would be the Kohler Spa facility in Burr Ridge, which is a lot farther south. So,
yeah, definitely is. Yeah, I think it's convenient location because the Dundee corridor is going to the North Shore and back over to Arlington Heights.
And we hope to take advantage of the communities in the area that, from a demographics perspective, again, I like to compare it a little bit to what the demographics that Lifetime might be drawing from.
Right.
So very similar to that.
And I think Vernon Hills is the closest location for that. Okay. The exterior, I appreciate the pictures and the video that helped me understand. I was going to ask, I wish that there was some images, some real life images of the uplighting or the downlighting that you were talking about, but I kind of got a sense for that. So I like the idea. You're not going to paint any of the exterior, right? You're just washing it and then...
That's the intent, is there wouldn't be any paint added, right? Correct.
We're a little reluctant to paint exteriors, so I just want to make sure.
I think we're a little reluctant too. There's some costs involved.
With the cost, weather, maintenance, it's just kind of...
A bit of a nightmare.
Yes, it can be. So I just want to make sure that. Now, the cost, there's memberships and there's a la carte and whatnot. Is there anything that's free? Like, can you come in and eat sushi or use the business area? You have to be a member at some level?
Well, in order to use the sushi area, you would have to come in there and spend the entry fee in order to use it. It's not intended to be just a restaurant, come in and use a restaurant. That's not the intent. It's offered as an additional amenity to the spa. So the intent is not to have traffic coming in there only to go to the sushi area, only go to the aqua bar, et cetera. The whole idea is you come in there, and that's part of the revenue model, part of the revenue generator, is to have that as a feature. Maybe you are just coming for the sushi, but you're also coming for a little bit more too.
Mm-hmm. Likewise, you can't a la carte. I can't just bring my daughter there to the pool, and it has to be it's $40 a day, and you get everything, sort of thing. Okay, great. I noticed the other locations are called Spa Castle.
Right.
Is that a brand?
There's another spa forest that's in the process of being developed in Virginia as well.
Okay.
So it's
Same ownership group?
Same ownership group, and there's even, I don't want to say it, I think it's Premier 57, right, in New York City? So different names just based on, again, the Spa Forest moniker. Spa Castle doesn't work quite as well as Forest does here in Wheeling.
You're across the street from a forest.
Overlooking the river and overlooking the forest area there. Kind of plays on
Appreciate you
that.
calling it a river. That's nice. Membership, got that. Is there wait service anywhere, like in the relax rooms, if you wanted a drink, can you bring one there, or can you have someone bring it to you?
I think you would be able to bring something there in terms of an actual wait service. That's, I don't think that's something is there something? No.
Okay. So in the relax rooms, is there any sort of signage or rules of like a quiet car concept on the train where, yeah.
I think it's just one of those things where we hope that human decency takes over.
Hope, but,
and,
I would.
And we hope that that's a realization that as you go in there, that you're not going to be talking and be loud.
Okay.
Obviously, we have staff throughout the area. If there were complaints raised by someone, that would be addressed accordingly.
Okay. And is there a security system, cameras, anything? I mean, like, how is security addressed as a big facility employee? Is there?
What?
Okay. The bathrooms and, yeah, okay.
Everywhere except the private areas.
Should we ask him to come up and speak to the mic?
Yeah, I can repeat that so it's heard, but
Yeah,
yes, we would have security system throughout the facility, also along the exterior, and except for any private areas, changing areas, et cetera.
And employees are trained to know what to do?
Yes, there's an
Okay.
extensive employee training system. I didn't put it on a slide, it's lengthy, but yes, the employees are trained, and any of the massage therapists would be, professionals as well, so. And take all the necessary certifications.
There's alcohol involved, so, and you never know what'll.
Understood.
It's
Understood.
It's going to be a high scale, upscale, I'm sure, but humans are humans. So, you said you were going to restripe or pave and just according to whatever's necessary in the parking lot?
Yeah, I think the intent would likely be to mill and overlay the parking lot. We know it's old. We know it's not in good condition. The last thing, you want to do is put up a new building and then have not so new parking lot. It kind of ruins the appeal. So.
Yeah, looking from the pool, was that green color? Was that a lighting thing? In the visualization, the water was green in some of the pools. Hopefully that's a lighting.
It's
tile. Okay, good. Okay.
It's
So
not
it's the same
colored
color as
green.
mold. Yeah. It's a nice look. Is this east, is this corner, did you say that that's actually a,
He's looking at the aerial photo.
yeah, so there's that's north or southeast, I guess, corner. Is that a floodplain, did you say?
Yes, so there's existing floodplain in that area. There's actually existing floodplain that extends into the parking lot. However, the number of times that floodplain would have gone into the parking lot, and there are going to be times where this may happen, but it's, I would say, once every couple of years. That there's a storm event that triggers where the 10-year or the 100-year floodplain that would extend into the parking lot. But yes, there is a floodplain area down there at the south east corner that we are, again, the whole intent and part of the reason that we modified our site plan from when it was originally presented in Village Board, and part of the reason that we requested a continuation last time was to try to match as much as possible the existing conditions and take advantage of not disturbing that flood area, because that results in additional stormwater requirements and permitting necessary for that.
Okay, so there would be nothing, future expansion there, because you can't.
You physically can't.
Yeah, okay.
It would be, we'll say that it would be extremely challenging
Yeah,
to do much from an expansion perspective because of that.
Okay.
Even with purchase of this lot would be still challenging considering the whole lot is in floodplain.
Right, okay. That's what I was, because it looks like you don't own that little corner, but I I don't know, on this zoning map, the subject property, there's a little chunk missing, but I like what you've done with the layout. It looks great. I do not have any more questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Sprague.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Jared.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was quite a presentation. You guys offer an extensive array of options. It's very impressive. My first question is with the detention basin. The drainage on that.
Yep.
Is that going to be just ground permeable drainage, or are you going to?
There'd be two culverts or like storm sewer pipes. So what this is a compensatory storage. It's not detention. We aren't required to have detention per MWD. The existing detention is actually located in the rear. But this would be compensatory storage due to having to do some fill in the floodplain area, as was kind of previously mentioned. I mean, the floodplain extends for a large part into this entire site. So we would have to fill in some areas where this building addition is and where this is adjacent. As a result, we're providing the compensatory storage here, and then we would connect it through a culvert of some kind, whether it be pipes or whether it be a box culvert underneath this existing drive.
And then that drains down to the river? Or?
This eventually makes its way, kind of, if you can imagine, it's coming along this property line down and into the river, yes.
It magically goes around that other property?
It probably goes through the other property. That's the whole point, is that other property is in floodplain as well. So
Yeah.
yes, it would go through there. I haven't looked at the topography of that particular area, but it would, again, the compensatory storage is providing more volume, more area for that water to store. It's not going to be increasing the runoff as a result. It's just allowing for the floodplain to have more space to back up in here rather than back up up here. Again, this isn't meant to be a detention basin storing stormwater. It's meant to be another area for relief for the flood to come through.
Right, so any water that does collect in there should drain off fairly soon. I mean, you're not going to have standing water in there.
No, this would be native planted though. But no, the idea would not be to have standing water through there.
Yeah, my concern is stagnant water next to the Friendship Park, and that could be a problem with odor.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, as we go through the process from an engineering perspective, we'll be sure to address that as needed.
Okay, onto the trees on the north side of the parking lot.
Okay.
I did notice that there's quite a few trees encroaching into your neighbor to the north.
Okay, the existing trees?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you planning on taking care of that in some way so that those trees aren't?
You're saying like doing the necessary pruning on those existing trees?
Correct.
We would be willing to do that as needed.
And then also, I noticed that you're electing to save, you have white mulberry trees on the property along the parking lot there. Those are known to be very messy trees.
Okay. Would your recommendation be to remove them and?
That would be my advice anyway.
Okay.
That you wouldn't want those dropping in your parking lot. Also, the birds, after they're done
We
feasting.
will certainly take that into consideration.
Okay, good.
Thank you for pointing that out.
And then the LED lighting that you have on the building.
Yes.
Is that like a 24-hour light that's going to be on all the time?
Do you see that as a concern?
Just at night, will it be like a softer light?
Again, the intent is to provide a little bit of a visual attraction, but not to create a nuisance effect.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, my turn. Ms. Nyes, we have allowances for day spas with immersion pools, but there is time restrictions on that use, is there not?
There typically is, and that was one thing I was going to bring up about the staff does have an issue with the hours of operation in some of the rooms. And it was a little bit unclear in the project description letter with the uses and the hours. It's a little more clear in the presentation, but I think what the Plan Commission needs to be clear on is what the exact uses are and what the exact hours of operation are for each of those uses. And that's probably something that we would want to include probably as an attachment to the ordinance that would eventually be passed. But there's nothing set in the code about hours for a day spa.
Oh, I thought there was. I thought you
I'm
told me.
sorry, I did. It is, do you know off the top of your head?
I don't, but I could see if I can find it.
I'm sorry, there are, hold on, we can look it up while you're.
Okay. I mean, because we are calling it a day spa.
Right, but the relaxing rooms being open 24 hours is questionable whether that crosses the line of potentially being a hotel
Okay.
use.
Yeah.
Is that the most concerning area as a 24-hour area? If.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't want too much relaxation.
Right, understood.
The Westin would like to make money too.
I don't think this will be replacing a Westin experience or a hotel
For
experience.
$40 a day, it's a lot cheaper than the Westin.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, the exterior of the building, it's going to be power washed to freshen it up to
Exactly.
near new.
is that the material
Yes,
that
that
they
is
were
the
for the
material.
addition?
Now,
That is the material. Again, we'd be looking for, this is a limestone. The idea would be, we offer a couple different colors here, but it would be to match to the maximum extent possible the existing material and to provide, again, a nice clean look, but one without, as you said, painting necessary to achieve that.
All right, well, let's go back to that first question. According to
Sorry, so that's in the health code.
According to our health code, no massage business shall be kept open for any purpose between the hours of 10 PM and 8 AM.
And none of the massages that we have are open past 10 PM that I'm aware of.
Okay.
So the massage space is closed after 10 PM. In fact, some of them looks like they're even closed at 8. Again, I'm looking at the body massage, 10 AM to 10
I
PM.
guess that's an interpretation that the Plan Commission needs to make. Is that the entire business? Or are you going to limit that just to the massage areas of a business?
And that's the only thing that you've found? Okay.
Mallory?
Yeah, no, that would be, and that's kind of what you'd have to determine with this kind of use, because obviously there's some uses or businesses that are massage only, and then there's some places that have massage as an element of their business,
And we
so,
could do that through restrictions.
yeah, a condition.
Condition.
My only question would then be, because, related to that is, the front desk person is only there till about, 9 PM? So what is stopping someone from walking in and wandering around and using other areas? Like, how do people come in if it's after that time, if you're open 24 hours?
Okay, maybe that was misspoken. So the front desk guest would be manned 24 hours, my apologies.
Okay, 'cause that was just a
So maybe make that
concern about-
note, that would hopefully resolve any concerns as it relates to people wandering in, as you said, and,
Well, also then like people coming in and not paying.
right. So that makes, obviously from a fiscal sense, so that's my error when putting together the presentation.
Okay. Back to the exterior. So it gets power washed. Now, the existing one, isn't it more of an exposed aggregate finish? Whereas what you're showing here is pretty smooth.
Yes, I mean, it's not going to be, again, this is
So you're going to match color, not
color, not necessarily
texture.
the exact exterior, that is correct.
Does that suggest the existing is like a rougher finish?
Yes.
Okay.
It's got a rougher finish to it, yes. We're doing the best that we can there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Are they planning on having any kind of shuttle service?
That would potentially be something as we get further along in this process that could potentially be discussed.
Because it showed a turning radius for a shuttle bus.
That was something, again, that was something
Or
the
the
staff pointed out very wisely to ensure that there was the turning maneuver should a shuttle service, because we could see this again being a destination location. Maybe you're here for Chicago for a bachelorette party or whatever, and you would like to come here to this spa sauna, to the Forest Spa, and spend an extended day there and then go out. So we will have that ability through the turnaround. And again, that's part of the thought process too of being able to drop people off at the front. It allows for sometimes the larger parties to come through.
But Spa Forest at this point isn't planning any shuttle service of their own.
Not at this point, no.
Maybe I missed it. Is there any kind of detail on the railings or walls that are going to be around these roof decks?
We don't show any detail here, but obviously we would be ensuring that we're meeting all safety regulations as outlined in building codes and any other codes, et cetera, to ensure that there's no risk. We wouldn't want that. You guys wouldn't want that. So.
Well, I'm thinking more from the visual approval of the building. Be nice to see what the actual fencing or railing or.
What? Glass? Yeah. Okay. Glass.
So you don't really have any visual to show
Visual
us?
deterrent to what you'd be seeing from the outdoor, yes.
Okay, I think I would like to see that before we, or at least the board should see it.
Wasn't it shown somewhat in that upper right-hand corner picture where you're seeing, oh, and it just disappeared?
Yeah, it's there. It's around.
It's kind of like, you can kind of see like a glass fence around the pool area.
If you'd like to make that a condition of approval, then we can make sure that the village board has that information for sure.
To tack on to Commissioner Sprague, if you do decide to remove the mulberry trees, you'll have to replace them with something.
Correct. We would have to meet village code in terms of replacement trees as well. We understand that, if that's something that is recommended. But also, again, just something we will have to take a further look at, regardless of whether it is recommended.
I concur that they are very messy. Okay, I guess one of the main questions gets back to the entry exits. I'm hearing conflicting things as far as that Milwaukee Avenue access point. Because it sounds like you are still looking at it as a full exit.
It's just a full access. Again, with signage, we would do our best to restrict it to, from an access perspective, to just one-way traffic.
No, but as far as turning out of it, IDOT's looking for right only, correct?
But that was also due to changing the entrance location, that they had jurisdiction for that.
Right, if they don't make any changes, then they're saying IDOT doesn't have any.
Correct.
John, do you have anything to add?
Well, we just received the comments a few days ago, so we really haven't had a chance to work with Manhart at all on what the thought was and whether or not they were going to pursue the full access on Milwaukee or go with the plan that was approached tonight of not doing anything in the right-of-way and therefore not having to get IDOT's approval.
And so it would remain?
It would remain right in, right out?
It would remain an
No,
access, a full access.
Full
plan as it
access.
is. Again, from an access perspective, as he mentioned, we received these comments 2 days ago. So we wouldn't even be, I mean, if they had waited 2 more days, we wouldn't even be, I guess, having this wouldn't even come up. So it's new, it's fresh to us. At first blush, that's our approach. Obviously, it's something we're going to be discussing further with village staff and with IDOT as necessary. to resolve it. From an operations perspective, our goal is to maintain the access points as is, only to allow for, again, the turning traffic into the site. We don't want to prohibit it from an operations perspective.
When the building was previously occupied, I'm asking this to staff or commissioner, or the chairman, maybe you know, did we have an issue? I would see that with this use, you're not going to have like a 5 o'clock whistle blowing and you're going to have a bunch of traffic coming
Right.
out on Milwaukee at the same time. You're going to have
Again,
intermittent cars.
again, we're almost going to be.
I wanted to, let me finish the question I want to ask though. I mean, was it an issue before when the building was previously occupied that we had concerns about that access?
No, I brought it up only because the comment was made that IDOT wanted to change it to right in, right out.
Okay.
And why would they have said that? Because they thought they were changing something?
Well, it obviously has to do with the proximity to the intersection.
Right.
And it's pretty typical for IDOT to try to minimize access points on major roads. And a right in, right out is very common. They asked for it on the car wash at Milwaukee further down the road. So there was a bunch of negotiation that took place on that to get that access. I believe that was approved for more than a right in, right out there. So this is a similar type situation where they're going to ask for right in, right out, and Manhard may choose to go back to them and prove that, it's not necessary to have a right in, right out here.
Okay, thank you.
For that, are we only talking, you said the southernmost on Milwaukee, is that the only one we're talking about, or
Yeah.
which? Okay. So right outside Friendship Park.
Well, the Dundee Road side was going to be right in, right out also.
Well, that's what IDOT has requested as well. Yes, IDOT has requested that basically both of the accesses become right in, right out. Again, this has been presented to us only 2 days ago. We're still working on the appropriate approach to this to make sure that it doesn't impact negatively the operations of our facility as well. But
Can you turn left out of the Milwaukee
yes,
exit right now? It's past any medians?
Yeah, it's currently a full access
Okay.
on Milwaukee right now.
Thank you. The 50-year floodplain, that's kind of funny, because how many 50-year floods have we had in the last 30 years?
Once a week.
I know of at least 3. I think that's all I had. Ms. Nyes, is there anything additional from staff?
Yeah, so staff's main concerns are the proposed 24 hours of operation. And like I said, we would propose at a minimum, there be some sort of noting of what the exact uses are and what the exact hours of operations are for those exact uses. And noting that this floor plan as shown is what's being approved, and anything other than a minor deviation from it is going to require you to come back here. So moving rooms around and stuff isn't going to work. I mean, if it's making something smaller to add a bathroom, that's probably okay, but this is what is being approved now with these uses in these locations. So that's the first thing, and again, we are concerned about the overnight relax room, and there only being 5 to 7 people on staff in a building that big, being open 24 hours. And then the one other minor issue was we noticed on the engineering plans that there was an exterior trash enclosure, so you would need to provide elevations and details for that, because that was not provided, and it was not on the site plan, like the standalone site plan outside of the.
okay. So when
Could you actually could you flip to the site plan? I guess it's the color site plan that you have.
I don't know if that's in here, to be honest. I don't know if it's, I don't think it's in this
Oh, you don't
presentation.
have it.
I think I failed to include that. my lengthy presentation, I failed to include that in one slide, my apologies. But yes, the intent is, so when would you need that elevation provided by?
Well, we typically have it before the meeting. Like I said, it's not shown on your site plan. So this is the site plan that you gave us. So that's normally something that the Plan Commission looks at and approves as part of their appearance approval. So I'm not sure how Plan Commission wants to handle that. I also think, one of the conditions should be about them working with staff to replace the mulberry trees with more acceptable species. If we leave that open-ended and not a condition, it's not going to happen. And so right now I have a list of 9 conditions. But again, our main issue is that it's the 24 hours and the consistency between the uses and the hours. And right now, how it's described in the project description letter, which is what would be attached to any sort of recommendation for approval, they don't match up. So there would need to be another document that would need to be produced to accurately represent what the uses are and what the hours are. So as is, it does not match up with the site plan, and the two listings do not match up. So.
Okay.
We would be willing to produce that.
Anything else from engineering on this? This is a huge undertaking on their part. Nope.
One thing I thought of, I think Commissioner Kalis asked a question, made me think about, I'm guessing that you're going to staff about 100 jobs or 100 plus. Are you going to be hiring local for that? That's not necessarily a plan commission issue, but it'd probably come up with the board. Is it, or are you bringing employees from someplace else?
Local.
I'm sorry, what was it?
Local would be the answer.
Okay.
Fire department, anything, major concerns on your end?
No, most of the items that we would have at this point, because they're not substantially changing the existing roadways as far as access. They had made some improvements to some of the turns. Most of the items would be covered under building review, and there's really nothing significant. And I did do a little looking while you were going through the rest of the meeting, and there is a section in the building code that addresses occupant load versus bathroom facilities.
We will be sure to follow that. Thank you.
I won't have to run up to the 3rd floor if I'm on the 1st floor?
And that will all come out at permitting, I'm sure.
Correct.
Anything else on the commission at this point?
I'm trying to think about the 24-hour thing.
Yeah, of course.
You have to be sworn in.
Have to swear you in now. You swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth.
Yes, I do.
Name and business address.
Steve Chun, the 167-17 Northern Boulevard, Flushing, New York.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm the designer and the owner of that facility. I know you have a main concern about 24/7. Only one location in Texas is open for 24/7. Monday through Thursday, we only have 20 people coming from San Antonio, Houston, Oklahoma City. But during the holiday and weekend, maximum 30 to 40 people stay there. So your concern was we only have 5 people. Yeah, we do have 5 people just roving around, see anything bad is happening. That's all they do. But we don't serve any food after 11 o'clock, as we mentioned, the business hour. We don't provide any services such as massage, food, that kind of thing. Basically what they do, they just spend family gather together and they spend quality time there. So nothing bad happens. I see, I know you're concerned. I see a lot of families staying there, even if they live not that far from the facility, they just stay there, spend time, talk to each other, enjoy them. They leave at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, they go home and get some sleep, but only, not that many people stay that long. But if you still have a, concern, I'm willing to cut down to, willing to close at midnight then. Or if you give me a permission to do 24/7 during the holidays, Saturday and Sunday, will be great. In other words, I'm going to close at midnight from Monday to Thursday. So people can, we could do Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, not many people, unless they have a holiday in Monday. Then we have some people staying there overnight.
So there's a slide there that has the hours that's not in the letter, and it breaks down the hours, and so the massage, which is the main concern, closes at 10, so that's not a concern compared to a massage parlor, right? So the massage is okay. The concern...
It sounds like the main concern that
The
Marcy's
relax.
expressed is the relax zone being extended past a certain time to allow for people to sleep. I mean, I guess, or sleep or stay there overnight. I guess the question could be is if we were to even close that for even 2 hours, I think that would, or whatever, Steve.
Past 5 or 7 years, nothing bad happened, but never know what's going to happen. Okay.
Is that the only thing that is really 24/7 is the relaxing room?
No, the areas that are would be the lobby, the locker room, the sauna rooms are, and then just, again, the common space.
And the business center, which isn't listed on there.
Right.
You cannot stay in a sauna 24 hours, so that's not a concern.
Sir, madam, I want to say this, okay? I'm going to open at 6 o'clock in the morning till midnight. No overnights.
I'm wondering if we're making it more complicated than it needs to be. I don't see, the relax room is a bunch of chaise lounges. I don't see somebody moving in there and taking up residence. It's not, if that's our concern, I kind of said it jokingly earlier, but I don't see that. I agree with Mr. Chan that, he doesn't have that experience, that it's more that based on the nature of the business, people are not going to go move in there and stay overnight and stay multiple nights. Or like Jared said that, maybe they don't want to be rushed out if the sauna closed at 10 and they want to sit around for an hour. So I'm wondering if we're just overly concerned. It looks like a high scale facility that, it's not going to be like a no-tell motel or something.
I guess I would also just ask, I'm sure from a village's perspective is if that came up as a concern when the operations had started, I'm sure that's something that could be then addressed at that time, correct? Am I wrong with that thought process?
Theoretically.
I'm just saying, like, if the concern is, we're all talking theoretically in terms of stuff that we think might be a concern, but it could also, as we've all expressed, not be an issue. We'd hate for any kind of competition in terms of King Spot or anything else to prohibit maximum uses from our perspective.
Well, on the other hand, we could say, since Mr. Chan has agreed that he could close at midnight, we could start out with that and they could come back later and say, hey, we're doing good and we'd like to extend it 24/7.
Or the other way around.
Well, it'd be harder to walk it back.
Right.
Would it be?
Yeah, we can't force, if we allow them to go 24 hours, you can't force them to amend their special use for the hours. The only thing you could do is code enforcement.
I think I heard Mr. Chan Moore say he'd like to be 24/7 on the holidays and maybe the day preceding the holidays and the weekends. I could see allowing the weekends, kind of split the difference, compromise, and restrict the weekdays, non-holiday weekdays, if we want to do that.
I'm personally, like you said about King's Spa, if we are a lesser offer in our village than down the street because of a potential maybe problem, I mean, from the facility standpoint, from operations on your side, I think it would behoove you to keep an eye on that. And if people end up, staying too long, that'd be an enforcement thing that you, as just a matter of principle on how you operate your company, that you wouldn't allow that if it became a thing.
I mean, again, that would reflect negatively on us if that was an issue, as you pointed out, and we're subject, like anyone else with these kind of facilities, to your Yelp reviews or whatever else, and we wouldn't want something like that.
I would personally hate to build a beautiful facility like this but it's not open past midnight, so they go to Skokie. That's from a business perspective for the village. That's for a niche problem that might not be a reality because it's encroaching on a hotel permit. It's close.
How would you address a client that may have the intentions of using that as an overnight stay versus just normal amenities?
I don't see that many people doing, stay there for that kind of.
Because that's our main concern, is that
Right.
it's used as an overnight stay.
But none of the areas that are going to be 24 hours are a privacy area where somebody's going to go into like a kind of duplicate a hotel room experience. That's why I'm saying is I think we're overcomplicating it. The 24-hour areas are public lounge areas and family areas and the business area. So, and I think like Commissioner Kalis said, if they had an experience where they see the same guy walking around in his bathrobe for 3 weeks, they're going to deal with it. I don't see it as, I think we're overcomplicating it personally.
It wouldn't have to be 3 weeks, though. It could be a 2-day stay, that he's in town for a day for a meeting, and instead of going to a hotel, I can sleep in a lounge chair overnight.
Okay.
If I was on an expense report, I don't think I would take that as an option.
Commissioner Creech, you had something?
Yes, back to this question that we're throwing about, how do you monitor the 24-hour stay? So you have a daily fee, someone pays $40 to come and stay. So is if I come in at 11 o'clock in the morning, I can stay until midnight and then I gotta go? Or is it 11 to 11? How does that work? And then my other question is, you said you're gonna have an extensive security system, and of course it's not gonna be in the private areas, but how is that monitored?
This is the system we have, okay? Yeah, we have the express check-in, express check-out. The front desk is handled only cash, okay? And they come in, even we just working on the mobile app, so they could pay the fee before they come to the spa, okay? If they don't do that, it's not completed yet. 95% complete, almost done, okay? It's gonna be implemented very soon, but in kiosk check-in, they have to scan ID, driver
So do they get like an armband or something like that that says that they're only there on Tuesdays?
Yeah, comes that, they're gonna give an electronically designed wristband.
Electronically?
Yeah.
Would that be monitored with your security system?
Yeah, they will
Okay.
open the lockers.
So that really,
only thing.
that really
Also,
takes
when
care
you-
of all our issues then?
Yeah, so we know who that person is. So when you get some massage service, you scan it. You don't have to pay any money. You only pay when you walk out through your mobile app and kiosk system. So everything is very secured.
So you could theoretically know if people have been there 24 hours, and then theoretically you could page them, you could find them if you wanted to, like.
If we wanted to,
Yeah,
yes.
right. Okay.
So I think that resolves most of the.
After 24 hours, nothing works. You cannot open your locker
Okay.
unless you come to the front desk and take care of it.
Okay, that's
Things
a
like that.
big detail that,
Everything is
yeah.
programmed that way.
It's kind of creepy, but it does actually work well.
State of the art.
Okay. Ms. Nice?
The reason we were concerned about the 24-hour sleeping is because at our meeting, you had stated multiple times that you would have out-of-town guests that would come into the airport maybe, and that would maybe, instead of staying in a hotel, would be here and stay at the facility.
Because, that distant customers from Oklahoma City, Houston, they do sleep there. Frankly, they do sleep there. But if that is, your concern, you don't want anyone sleeping there,
I mean, in that situation, it is becoming a hotel.
but they don't come to sleep there. I mean, that's not the main purpose. Purpose is they come to Spa Forest, Spa Castle in Texas to enjoy the facility. But at night, you have to sleep. So that's sleep. So that's secondary. Primarily, they come to enjoy the facility. But since we are the human being, you have to sleep some hours. So they sleep. So I cannot do anything about that.
Now, you said only your Texas facilities 24/7?
Yes, sir.
The New York ones are,
We close at midnight. Premier Manhattan,
Which one of your facilities has the hotel?
the Texas.
so that
That's
actually
what we
has
got.
a hotel attached to it?
Right, so that's where they're sleeping is in the hotel.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
different,
Yeah, that's much different.
yeah.
Okay.
So when he's saying that, and then that's what he's referencing there.
Right.
So it's a little bit different than as the commissioner pointed out in terms of sleeping in a lounge chair. So,
All right, so let's do a poll on the hours of operation here. Our choices are allowing the 24/7. Let's start with that. Just
Do we need to deal with this? Is it for the?
yes or no?
This is a public hearing, right? So any hotel owners could have
They could
come
have-
to
well,
express their concerns if,
If they had seen the notice, yes.
okay.
And-
Oh, the
So I
notice is
guess-
within a radius of,
The
So
hotel
let's
was
do
not.
the first
Okay.
determination of whether or not the commission considers the massage business to just be the massage areas or the entire business for the hours of operation in the code, to make that first determination, how you guys are going to interpret it.
Well,
You think it's just separate?
yeah.
Okay.
because
I think their hours for the massage
till 10.
meet those criteria.
Okay.
As long as this is officially put in, is this not,
This isn't, so we would
Yeah,
need to,
just-
and this would need to be updated because it's not accurate either, because it doesn't include the business center. It's
Yeah.
including the shower areas and the 24 hours.
officially submit
area.
this?
we will officially submit this so that.
So that should be like a exhibit that says uses and hours of operation.
Okay.
Just to make, and that we would attach as an exhibit, once we hammer out what is allowed and what.
Right, because we're actually looking at three different options here. Just
Yes.
6 AM to midnight, 6 AM to midnight except on weekends, or 24/7,
Holidays.
right?
Right. Or allowing 24 hours except no relax zones. So actually like 4 options. If people have that, like, as another compromise option.
Maybe for purposes of making this less confusing, we just say yes or no on the 24 hours.
And then go-
And define the,
Yeah.
define the 24-hour facilities,
Yeah, that works.
because if you enter 4 different options.
Yeah, I
it's-
think we should start
it's
with just
complicated.
yes or no on 24 hours. And
All
then
right.
kind of go, let's see where we are after that.
So, do we want to allow 24/7 operation year-round? Commissioner Creech?
I'm fine with it. So yes,
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Yednek?
No objections, I think it's going to police itself.
So that's a
It's a
yes.
yes.
That's a yes, that's a yes.
Don't confuse me.
You wanted to simplify, right?
Commissioner Sprague?
Yes.
Commissioner Kalis?
Yes.
And I'm going to say no. I would like to see it limited, but, okay, so we don't need to go any further.
Well, I think
Well-
we need to define which areas of
24/7?
facility are we okay with the 24? Because it is, we have, originally we had no areas. This slide has some areas, but then you mentioned other areas. So I
Right.
think we probably would want to
I think we should have the
finalized.
record state clearly, and then we'll have, make sure that the attachment that goes to the board is,
Right.
matches.
Okay, so the hours of operation they've given here,
So, yeah, I think the hours that are listed, so it'd be the lobby, the locker room, the sauna valley areas, the relax room, the infrared zone, as we was pointed out, the business center, and the third floor seating area, because it's a common area. Same with the second floor seating area, again, it's a common area, would be 24 hours. And the shower area would not be 24 hours. It's per those restrictions.
so
The only thing that's missing from this slide is the business center.
business center.
And the second floor.
And the second
common.
floor seating area.
No, it's, oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's got
Yep.
third floor, but,
yeah, the third floor made me realize the second floor would be the same thing.
so are we good with that chart plus the additions that we just discussed with the business area and second floor seating area? Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
Their hours of operation, but amended to include in the 24-hour section, the business area and the second floor seating area?
And the
Yes.
third floor seating area.
Well, he's got
It's on
third
there.
floor on there.
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay.
So, yes. Commissioner Yednak?
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague?
Yes.
Commissioner Kalis?
Yes.
And I would say yes, too. So, that should be a condition that this gets updated.
Okay?
Yeah, and we'll put in as an explicit condition that the 24-hour areas are limited to and list out those, and then reference an exhibit that shows all the uses and the
The hours associated.
hours associated.
Now, do we want them to come back to us with a landscape update? What do you have on that, Marcy, as far as,
Well, they had just a couple little things initially that we needed them to update, and then if you want them to revise the landscape plan to replace the mulberry trees with an acceptable species.
Can we make that a condition?
we really hate to send these along with too many conditions, we're up to what?
Right now, you have 10.
I mean, I guess on our end, you know, we would be willing to turn that around in a quick manner, but we would, again, we'd like to continue to progress through the process because
Understood.
from our end too is, you know, we have an LOI in and we're looking to purchase the property, and obviously any extensions that continue to delay that process becomes problematic on our side. I guess.
The plan
That's really-
commission also hasn't seen the trash enclosure details.
Right. But that's really the site plan. We could theoretically pass the special use, correct?
Yes.
Because there's still the IDOT questions too that are
Yes, I have that
relatively new.
as a condition as well.
So the distinction would be that the use is more likely, has a lot less conditions or is kind of already been fleshed out. Could go to the board, which I'm sure is more important for your closing documents than the site plan, but,
It's a little bit of both, right?
Well, the site plan is more
more just
the
the
aesthetics
appearance, the
and
aesthetics.
Sure.
logistics of traffic flow and things like that.
It's up to the plan commission how comfortable they are with taking a vote tonight or continuing it. so.
Marcy, do we have any conditions as far as the special use, other than the hours of operation?
No.
So everything else is site plan.
Yes. Unless you wanted the parking lot shall be milled, overlaid, and restriped as a condition of the special use.
I see
That's a
that as more a
condition.
site plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, But you've got them all lumped together on one sheet right now, right?
Yeah, this is the special use, but I can just move them to the,
Okay. Why don't you do that, and then we'll make sure that we got it all covered.
So there's 10 with
Right
the,
now.
or there are 9, because one of them is special use. Anyway, have they been read? I don't know.
Not yet.
Okay. I don't know that's a concern of 10 versus 9 for the board. I mean, 9's the,
Well, that's why
yeah,
we may ask them to come back with
to
a site
clear
plan
up,
update
Yeah.
that includes some of these minor things, and we can
to get rid of.
breeze through it.
Well, they gotta come back for the sign too.
Yeah,
We would
they'll
have to come back.
eventually have.
The
to
sign
come
would be
back for
at a later.
Separate,
date.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
separate.
it. And there's a lot of work you gotta do in that building.
Are you planning, if this,
Which is again why we want to make
Exactly.
this initial process move as
if
quickly
it all
as we can.
works, contract, the plan is to break ground in with the addition in the winter? Or, no?
Demo. It's not a demo.
I mean, you said you wanted to move it along and, you know,
I mean, yeah, but part of the problem is it's hard to define a timeline when we're being
Yeah.
potentially asked to then continue the process from a site plan. And again, we can't progress documents without the site plan, without being at risk. So that's, I guess, from our side, the plea would be, is we understand that there's more conditions than the typical, but as I think has been highlighted, majority of the conditions are hopefully more minor in nature, but again, from our side of it's going to extend to what would be the next date. I guess that's, from our side, also understand that too.
January 8th, but one of the conditions, if the Plan Commission wants the issues with IDOT to be resolved before it goes to the board, that's another question that we need to ask. What do you want that condition to be for access issues?
Because that could take a while.
Oh, yeah.
To resolve. And then, so then we would have to then wait
I
to
know.
develop our documents, and you're talking,
Yeah.
that could be 6 months. I mean, that could kill it, I guess.
I want to get a clarification, because I think I have a proposal for that, is currently the site plan shows the current access, right, the full access?
Yep.
And the IDOT changes, if required, would only change it to right in, right out. So it would only make it more restrictive.
Correct.
So my proposal would be that the site plan could be updated to reflect right in, right out if required by IDOT.
right.
So that way,
Do we even need
you
to
know,
have that as a condition
it would change the site plan, so.
then? Right, I mean, but if they change, any change would require them to come back.
Or, or they'd have it, I'm saying it would save
I
the
mean-
trip of having to come back for something as simple as just
Oh, so
changing
you're saying
access.
they wouldn't have to come back?
Correct.
Oh, I see, okay.
Oh,
That
because
would-
it's just going to be more restrictive.
It'd only just be more restrictive.
Correct. We wouldn't be gaining any extra access. It would be more restricted. Whether it's a right in, right out, or a three-quarter access or anything, it's going
If
to.
we're okay with the existing access
If
and
you're
they're
okay with it-
restricted, then why hold them up?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, then there's
Right.
no
No,
need to
that's
hold them up because of
good point.
IDOT, because IDOT's not, they're not trying to
no, because,
Get more access.
yeah,
get more access.
fully understand IDOT
How would
issues.
you word that?
Scares,
That
Just gotta figure out how to word
the
it.
current access is accepted,
understand.
but can be amended to
IDOT.
any IDOT required restricted access. That would just save you from actually coming back for a minor site plan review.
We appreciate that thought. Thank you.
And I don't know if, I'm still kind of new on this, but couldn't we, same thing with like the trash enclosure and the trees, couldn't we defer that to staff if we give them guidance? Can we do that? Or does it have to be a condition that has to come back for a full review?
I mean, I guess the question is there any way to, if that is a concern, to separate that? Like, as you said, we understand the desire to see the trash enclosure, but with the remainder of the use in the building, it seems like there's not conditions as it relates to the physical building itself. And I know there's some other minor items related to the landscape plan.
I think that was already separated between special use and site plan approval.
Yeah, I'm putting all
You-
these on
you were kind
site
of, I
plan.
thought you were kind of leaning towards taking a vote on the special use today and deferring
Yes.
the site plan stuff. But does that put their project at risk doing it that way?
I mean, I'll speak from our side that pushing the site plan approval back just means that again is going to push back our ability to develop documents, to start construction. While from a special use side, while if that is the board, or that is the Plan Commission's decision to approve that, while that does allow us a little bit of insurance, we still are delaying the process in terms of us getting into the ground at the end of the day.
But you would have to, if we made that as a condition and give staff guidance, you would still have to develop those documents and
Yes.
say, this is our final plan.
And we would still need staff's
landscaping.
approval from that in order to obtain that. That is correct.
But it wouldn't require them to come back to us, this is, in that case.
But let's hear from staff on this, guys.
I mean, it's,
I don't know what the
Don't
10
really like
conditions
to
are,
dump
so.
everything on staff.
that's okay, but from staff's perspective, it's just a matter of when do you decide whether you're gonna review a trash enclosure and when you're not.
Right. That's why I think.
And you
they-
also have the railings.
Yes.
Okay. I'll defer to the chairman.
So
That's
I
got to
think
be by
we,
code, right?
but,
Right, but
The
you were looking
railings
at
and
the
everything.
appearance
It's more
part
the
of it.
appearance.
yeah, it's more the appearance.
Right.
If you care, if you want
Yeah.
to see that or not.
All right, when do we turn in?
What if we put down conditions and see if they agree with them? We say that the railings were acceptable with glass, with,
Well, we're not here
Stainless
to,
steel
we're not
post.
here to design it, though.
oh, okay, well,
I mean, you can.
I mean, the picture kind of looked like that's what they were
Yeah.
going, and he said that's where they were going, so I'm just saying if we lock that down in today and
I
say
mean,
that.
you can lock that down, that's an option, then you wouldn't see the run,
So
And
is
the
it-
trash
it would be
enclosure has to be.
Per the presentation, the pictures in the
Yeah, but
presentation?
there
and then-
Yeah, and then
enough.
everything that all these requirements would have to be, we'd have to come to a resolution before the board meeting.
Do you see that being an issue? Or
When is that?
the board meeting, well, yeah, I guess that's a
January
great question.
6th. Would it make the January 6th meeting
Or would it be on the January 20th?
I don't know.
or 20th? You could go,
I mean,
you
maybe,
definitely can make the January 20th meeting.
maybe the January 20th meeting
Can they
allows
not
for
come
that.
back to us
I mean,
before that?
if you're looking at the
Then they
January
could.
20th
Meeting is
meeting, you
January
can make the January 8th Plan
Right.
Commission meeting
January
and get it
8th
all
for us,
fixed
yeah.
up
I am.
and clean.
January 6th.
Yeah, so January 8th to us, assuming everything's approved, then January 20th to the board.
Because I'm just saying, that our next meeting is January
Ours is the
8th.
8th, yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you were trying to get the January 20th meeting, you could get all this little stuff cleaned up and then go to the board.
That's pushing 2 weeks, but it's not 3 months, so it's,
But it is holiday season.
I think the
It's up to
6th
them.
I mean, I
would
think
be
as long as that
difficult.
doesn't jeopardize the January 20th, I think that's
As
something.
long as you get it done.
What?
As long as you get your work done.
yeah, right.
So I guess then, I guess the question would be for the January 8th meeting. Well,
Yeah.
let's just ask the question here. When do I then have to, when would we have to provide all of these answers?
Midnight tonight, no, just kidding.
By, it would have to be perfect by January 1st.
Okay.
So you could wait till then if it's perfect.
Well, we could also start submitting things earlier and begin to work with staff.
And worst case, we might have one
I
or
mean,
two
there's-
conditions
Yeah,
to.
there
Right,
could-
I mean,
yeah.
We
there's
could
simple.
reduce the number of conditions.
There's
Yes.
simple
Right,
things that-
some of these are really easy things
Yeah.
to get hammered out.
Correct. I guess that was where I was trying to go with some of the fact of the matter of a few of these are easier conditions to hammer out. Our hope was that enough of them were, I guess, that it could just progress forward without having to hammer them out. So that was it.
And staff can steer you on acceptable type of trash enclosures and things like that.
And we would just, I guess to clarify on my end with some of these elements, well, I guess we'll see what the conditions are before
Okay,
I speak to that question.
so how are we doing on those?
So I still have the 10 conditions for the site plan and appearance, but if it's continued, then we just have them work out these 10, and then there will be just 2.
Well, did you want to hear what those were?
I would,
know?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
enough to work
so number 1 is the landscape plan should be updated to note the minimum size for deciduous trees is 3 inches. Second, landscape plan shall be updated to include no mow signs around the detention basin with native plantings. Number 3 is the parking lot shall be milled, overlaid, and restriped. Number 4, signage is not included in this approval and must be applied for independently. 5, provide elevations and details for the outdoor trash enclosure. 6, provide a list of uses and associated hours of operations to be included as an appendix to the ordinance.
But that's actually.
But I think we,
That's the special.
That's the special use, and it's mostly hammered out, but we understand.
okay, I don't want to take that out of this yet, I got to put it in the other. Provide details on the railings and walls around the roof decks. Revise landscape plan to replace mulberry trees with an acceptable species. The current access is accepted, but can be amended to a more restricted access as directed by IDOT. And actually, the last one is for the special use. We only need it'll be open 20.
Did you mention the trash enclosure?
Yeah.
That was number 5.
That was mentioned.
So the last one was areas to be open 24 hours, 7 days a week. That one only goes on the special use.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So if I take those 2 off, then.
2 of
it's just
them
8.
are
2 of
special
them are
use.
special use. And then like
See, we
3
got
or
it down
4
to
of them
8
are going to
already.
stay anyways because they're just reflecting the
Correct,
signage,
yeah.
the parking lot.
Some of them, yeah, are just.
The IDOT.
state.
Some of them are just more statements, right?
Yeah.
It seems like the landscape plan would need to be updated to address those couple of minor comments. There needed to be a trash enclosure detail developed in terms of elevations, and then the railings explained.
So that's really those are the changes that are needed.
Sounds like it.
So we'll just have 2, provide the list, or do we, yeah, I think we still provide a list of uses
Yeah,
and associate hours.
that would be on the special use.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm back on the special use.
But we do need an updated one of those.
And then we could vote on special use tonight,
Yeah, that can go.
so it's no longer a public hearing.
Correct.
That's in that.
You're not going to include toilets?
No, that'll be a permitting issue.
Yeah.
Be addressed during the permit.
You don't have to, we won't make it, it's not something you
Great.
have to worry about now.
Thank you for
If they want
remembering.
us to vote on, they might want to keep them both together so they're not coming to 2 board meetings.
I mean, at that point, then, I would-
Well, this-
even if, I guess, I'll wait for the vote, but the January 20th would be when we would look to address both, yeah.
Yeah.
Only because the only thing is I would continue both so that we could have that attachment for the plan commission could see the updated attachment and specifically reference it. That'd be my only concern.
Does that require notifying the public and
No.
everything?
No, because
No.
we'll be continuing to a date certain.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no real reason to approve one and not the other.
Okay.
They can't move along without both of them.
Well, they
I mean,
could, but
not on what they need to, yeah.
They don't need to.
But I thought they wanted to close the special use at this point. If we make that a condition of the hour, we've already hammered that out, I thought. I mean, wouldn't it be more fair to the petitioner if we let them walk out of here with a vote?
We would like that.
But they still wouldn't have board approval.
Until
No.
they're going to the board on
Okay.
both days, so this,
Okay.
I mean, it's up to, if they want us to vote on one, that's fine, if you guys are fine with it, but I'm
I
just
mean,
saying,
they're only going to need a few minutes with us on the
Okay.
8th.
yeah,
I guess I would speak that we would like a vote on something that would make us feel
oh.
warm
I mean,
going into the holidays.
I don't care, it's up to you guys.
And we can do the special use without having a site plan attached to it. Or a floor plan. So I would have to take those off where we have the decision reflects the following plans, I'd have to take off it would just be, so a lot of those things are things that have to be updated. That's what I'm concerned about.
They would be updated by the time they actually went to the board for approval, right?
Oh, but I think she's
I
saying.
mean, if it overcomplicates it, we can just continue it.
You're not really gaining anything by.
Yeah, I mean,
By
I don't want
getting
to make it
a vote
harder
tonight
on
on
everyone
anything.
here. We've obviously been up here for a
It would be easier
while.
to just keep them together,
Okay.
because then everything would be updated
That's
when the
fine.
vote, when all votes happen.
Understood.
I think
I
you
think-
have a strong indication of how the
And you got a,
commission's feeling.
you got a positive concept review from the village board.
Right.
So.
I feel positive vibes. I just
Okay.
don't have the formal vote, I guess, to validate that.
I want to
So,
make my appointment, so.
perfect.
Okay, so, do you need to finish anything up before we
No, I've got
continue it? Or, okay, so we need a motion to continue docket 2019-25 to a date certain of January 8th.
Correct.
So move.
Second.
Commissioner Yednak, Commissioner Creech.
Commissioner Yednick,
Yes.
Commissioner Creech.
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague.
Yes.
Commissioner Kalis votes yes. Commissioner Thompson.
Yes.
And Chairman Johnson.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to
Hold on.
talk.
Have another one.
Thank you.
We're not done.
Not so soon.
Thank you for that
We
vote.
have to vote on this.
Yes.
Okay.
And a motion to continue PC 19-22
So moved.
for the same
Second.
date.
Did Thompson second?
Yes, second.
Thank you.
You whispered it.
With authority. All right. Commissioner Creech.
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson.
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague.
Yes.
Commissioner Kalis votes yes. Commissioner Yednick.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
We still do that?
They don't need to sign.
Oh, you don't want them?
Chairman Johnson, would you like to continue?
I was interrupted. Yes.
Sorry. Okay, you're forgiven.
Okay, so we're not closing this public hearing until the 8th. And
It just has the information.
That just has all the list of conditions, so they know.
as
specifically
currently
what we're-
they stand.
Extremely helpful. Thank
you.
you very much,
Okay.
everyone. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you next year.
You need to close the public hearing?
No.
No, oh, we're
But it's
continuing,
being
that's right.
continued.
I'd like to make a motion for a bathroom break.
Yes, we are going to take a 5-minute, what'd the trial say? Humanity break?
Bio.
We'll be back in 5.
There you go.
Resume the meeting. Docket number 2019-26A, Westin Outlot B, amendment to the Westin North Shore Hotel Retail Planned Unit Development at 751 North Milwaukee Avenue. Docket 2019-26B, Westin Outlet, special use for a sit-down restaurant at the same address. And docket number PC 19-23, Westin Outlet B, major site plan and appearance approval at that same address.
Okay,
Mr. Secretary.
my turn. Docket 2019-26A and B. Ware Malcolm? Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. On behalf of Sana Corporation, property owner seeks the following actions associated with the construction of a multi-tenant commercial retail building located at Westin North Shore Hotel Retail Planned Unit Development at 751 North Milwaukee Avenue, which is zoned MXC Commercial Residential Mixed Use Area. Docket 2019-26A, amendment to the Westin North Shore Hotel Retail Planned Unit Development granted by ordinance number 2004-3942 as required under Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 19-09 Planned Unit Developments and associated sections to allow for a substantial change to the approved development plans for Outlot B or Restaurant B, and Docket 2019-26B, special use approval as required under Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 19-05 Mixed Use and Overlay Districts, Chapter 19-10 Use Regulations and associated sections in order to permit a sit-down restaurant at 751 North Milwaukee Avenue, which is located in the MXC Commercial Residential Mixed Use Area. A special use, as defined by the zoning code, is a use of parcel of land that requires review and consideration before approval due to the potential for negative impacts on surrounding properties. In order to be considered for a special use, the petitioner is required to demonstrate through testimony to the Plan Commission at a public hearing that the request meets the standards of the village code, including, but not limited to, how the proposed use will not damage the enjoyment or use of the surrounding properties. Prior to the public hearing, the petitioner provides written statements meant to show that their request meets the standards for special use as established in Title 19. The Commission chairperson will typically direct that these statements be entered into the record without a full reading of them at the hearing. Based on the testimony and supporting materials submitted, the Plan Commission will make findings in support of or against the petitioner's testimony and report those findings to the village board.
Thank you. Ms. Nyes, anything on this before we start?
Nope.
All right. Then we go to the petitioner. We need to swear you in if you're both going to be speaking. Do you swear the testimony you're presenting tonight is the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Please state your names and business addresses for the record.
Brett Webster with Ware Malcolm, 1315 West 22nd Street, Suite 410, Oak Brook, Illinois.
Brad Ovanik with Cage Engineering, 3110 Wood Creek Drive, Downers Grove, Illinois.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead with your presentation.
Very well. Thank you all for including this in your agenda tonight. See if I can make this work correctly. So our architectural site plan here has been reviewed numerous times with staff, and as your packet indicates, we've been to the village board for concept review. There was some dialogue about some changes to be made, which we incorporated into this presentation for you. And they really involve the placement of the building has not changed since the village board saw it. We added some landscaping elements, some bike racks. We shifted this north driveway. And I think those were kind of the minor adjustments that we made to accommodate the staff and the village board suggestions to date. Our intent here is to continue the development that has been in place since the project was originally developed, and we're proposing a single building with multiple tenant uses and a drive-through on the north end. This is a perspective view from the north corner. The proposed uses are they're just hypothetical signs. Your packet clearly states that this is a speculative development. Specific users are not identified at this time, but we just put these names on the building to give an indication of what the project might look like once it's completed. Primarily, we're trying to illustrate the quality and the nature of the design to show that it's compatible to the development. This is just another perspective of the other corner. We were requested by staff to include the two-dimensional elevations showing each wall, and we're illustrating the variety of materials. We're trying to respond to the neighboring building, which we're right next to, and as part of the conditions of the PUD amendment, we're looking to carry through the design elements and features in a general way to make the whole property have a consistency that was originally intended, even though this is being built several years after the original development. So there's just the other two sides of the building. There were some comments early on in our presentation to the village board that, and the staff recommendations, that in order to better comply with the development standards and the community aesthetic standards, that we reduce the amount of EIFS material that we had on the facade. And so in our presentation here, we're showing there are several areas on the main facade, which is the Milwaukee facade facing west, where we've added fiber cement board, and we did bring a sample material board, which we can present when it's appropriate. You can see the materials that we're actually talking about. Just let me know if you want to look at that more carefully when we get to the right spot. As a part of the special use, the staff had asked us to provide a floor plan for a tenant that might take the north end space, which is our owners and our clients' primary interest is this northern end space. They don't have a very solid agreement from anybody, so we can't really say exactly who we're going to get here, but there's several different types of tenants in the marketplace that would operate either a coffee or a sit-down casual sandwich type operation, and they all clamor to have a drive-through in this type of a commercial corridor on Milwaukee Avenue. So that's what we're representing here as a point of discussion. We just included here in your packet some photos of our neighbor to the south, who we are trying to respond to with the colors and the materials and some of the design massing that the staff has described in the packet that you have. So that's where we're just referencing some of the materials and elements that we incorporated into the building. This is just another view showing the Milwaukee facade in the context of the hotel property. And then the rest of these slides, I would like Brad from the civil engineering team to just kind of give you a highlight of our approach to the site.
Yeah, so we had previously come in here for a previous meeting. I just wanted to touch on one main element. He had already expressed a couple things that had changed since then. The main concern before was circulation of traffic through the site. Previously, anybody coming into the site or going through the drive-through would need to go down the southern or the western side here, go through the neighboring property and out, turn right, and basically go through a whole circus to get back onto North Milwaukee. The main change that we made was the northern entrance. We were able to shift it to the east so that there is full access into and out of the site for easy access back onto North Milwaukee. What we also included was a grading plan. There's also a current storm sewer system that is on our site due to the existing parking lot that is there. We are planning on utilizing that to the fullest extent, and also providing stormwater elements on this side over here. And then we also included a landscape plan as well, which complies with all village regulations.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad. The rest of the slides in our packet relate to there's a fire truck turning diagram that we brought should we need to address that issue. This diagram illustrates that the fire truck can enter from the north and pass through the property and lead through to the south neighboring property. There's a site lighting plan. I apologize if it's a little bit hard to read, but the foot candle levels are showing compliance, and we're reusing the light pole and the style of light pole that are already on the property. We're not buying any new light poles, and then we're adding some lighting to the south wall of the building. There was a comment by some of the village staff, and we've complied with that aspect. And the rest of these documents are just showing that even though we're not buying a new light pole, these cut sheets are showing the type of a light that has exactly, not exactly, but extremely similar lighting properties to the lights that are out there. We were not able to identify exactly which brand that is, but we're just showing that we're using a light fixture that has a similar set of features to light the parking lot. And then these pictures here are showing the light fixtures that would be mounted on the wall of the building, on the south facade, and the east facade would have where the rear doors of the building are, the service doors, just some typical lighting to meet the code requirements for having a foot candle of light at the rear doors. And then the lighting in the front facade, the Milwaukee facade, if I can just flip back to our building elevations, we were proposing the light fixtures be mounted along the customer-facing part of the property within these black metal canopies. So we're providing safety and lighting. Over here on this south side is where we were showing the wall fixtures that the staff was asking for to illuminate that sidewalk.
I'd also like to note that the lights that are along the southern facade are also mimicking what is shown on the neighboring property, very similar, just to remain consistent with the design.
Thanks, Brad. So yeah, that's the overview of our approach to meeting the standards and seeking approval to move forward with the village board and allow our client to construct the building prior to having specific lease and tenant agreements in place. The property has been marketed, as you may be aware, for over 2 years, just from a conceptual nature. They were using the original development building elevations, which show a single-user restaurant, which many of the tenants who would want to come to this property don't necessarily have the imagination to envision what might be possible. And our client has asked us to do everything we could to gain approval to build this building, which once people see that there is activity here and a building is imminent, then our client feels that they will have a whole realm of more interest to enter into agreements and move this project forward. That's what we have to present to you, and we're happy to turn it back to you for anything you need to know.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. If there's anyone in the audience that wanted to speak on this matter? That's Harold Ryder. Oh, come on up. Raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Your name and address?
My name is Harold Ryder. My business address is 1509 West Berwyn Avenue, Suite 200 in Chicago, 60640.
Thank you.
I represent the ownership of the building to the south. And while on one level I'm happy to see that this lot is being developed, in addition to the Village of Wheeling having jurisdiction over what gets put on that lot, there is a declaration and restrictive covenant that gives certain approval rights to us as well as the Westin Hotel. On November 20th, there's a letter dated November 27th from Ware Malcolm that was announcing this meeting. This is the first we've heard of this. That building violates several aspects of the restrictive covenant, one of which is a reduction in parking, one is the building size, one is a change in the driveways, and one is a change of the use of the building. So it seems to us that prior to approving a special use or that particular building, it would make sense that the developer approach us as well as the Westin to get our approval to make those changes prior to moving forward. The restricted covenants, I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but it's a matter of public record.
We haven't seen those, so we'll have to rely on our attorney.
I don't think Mallory had these ahead of time, but it was our understanding that the, what do they call it? No, the consenting owners, that's what it refers to, would review the project before it went to construction. I mean, we didn't see a timing of it having to go before we looked at it. How we read it was that it has to be reviewed and approved before they actually can start any work.
But that's not really fair to the petitioner. If they think they have a go-ahead from us and they start developing plans and then they go to them.
Right. That's
sort of the point. If they're coming to you with that building and you're saying, so, okay, and then they're going to come to us and I'm going to say maybe or maybe not or maybe okay. I don't even know what we're going to say yet. It's just that that is on many different aspects in violation, or not a violation, but is not in accordance with the declaration. And it seems to me that that should be addressed prior to drawing a building and having it approved.
So they're not,
I haven't heard a peep from them. This meeting, the announcement of this meeting is the first picture I ever saw of that building on Monday.
So there's some ways we can approach this. You know, it might behoove the petitioner to hash that all out prior to getting any kind of approval from us, because otherwise if things change, you'd have to come back to us anyways with the change. So that might be a consideration to have a better idea, especially once you have an opportunity to look through it. The restrictive covenant does require obviously just the permit, so technically you can proceed, but we can see what the petitioner's response is on if they'd rather just continue it to be able to work that out and with the other property owners, at least on the site plan aspect alone. But it also might help to get some, at least
But
some
yeah,
initial
we
comments.
couldn't act on the amendment at this point.
No, no, that's true.
No.
I'm saying that it might be better to continue it so that if they're going to make any changes,
Right.
they can do it all at once.
Yes.
But it also might help to get some at least initial comments from the plan commission too, so if there's gonna be more changes you guys want, everyone hears about it now, rather
Yeah.
than coming back and having to come back a
So
third
we
time.
can proceed with a higher level review?
Yeah, because it's definitely your guys' purview to continue it, to have that worked out in the interest of everyone's time.
Just for the record, I don't think the Westin was aware of this either. Or the general manager wasn't, because I spoke to him.
Yeah.
Different
Who the
ownership
notice-
group
Well, they would have
than
been
you?
notified of the public hearing though. The property, being
But
property.
who actually got it?
Got it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
They may have passed it on to corporate.
Right.
Right, because the notices would have had to go out, and obviously the Westin's within the,
They might have got that, but they've never seen that building before. At least the general manager hasn't.
isn't it really up to the applicant? what they
Yeah.
wanna do?
well, the plan commission can make a decision either way. The plan commission can continue it based on that.
Based on what, yeah, you guys are having a little side conversation, I'm not sure where we're
The
at.
plan commission can continue as to require communications with the other property owners before you guys take a vote, because there might be changes based on that. And so why would you, rather than go through and approve something only to have them come back
Yeah, we can't do it.
with a minor site, with changing it again, get it all hashed out now.
Right, if we see anything obvious right now that they could work into their revision, if there are any.
Right. There may not be any revisions, but
Right. So,
that makes sense. Does that clarify?
you understand,
So
Commissioner?
we're
Fritz?
almost doing more like a concept review
Yeah.
and not
Sort of.
acting on the,
Right, we
Not
still
voting.
want to know, yeah, if there's any, yeah. But more specific, you have a lot more detail on this, and you're looking at what you would want changed on the actual plans.
Right.
Coming back to you. If anything.
And then we're going to continue it anyway?
If
Yes.
it's the consensus of the commission.
It looks that way. It looks like we would have to because they don't.
So why wouldn't we just wait to hash out all the details?
Because if you have
if there's-
changes.
Oh, got it.
If
They
there
get-
are some
they get-
obvious
got it.
things to us now,
Got it. They can be
work
included
that
in the
into their plan.
conversation. Got
but
it.
does the petitioner know about the staff recommended conditions?
Well, they've received the staff report as well.
Okay.
so. Commissioner Yednick, let's start with you.
Wait.
What
was the
what
question?
were you going to discuss as far as the site plan?
You can
I was
sit
going to
down.
ask,
So just
if,
so they
I
can
was going to
address
ask
any
if the
comments.
buildings were owned by the same person, but that obviously was
No.
answered right now. And then I was confused by the floor plan about the tenants, but I think I answered my own question. They're only showing the floor plan for the restaurant. And then, I'm in concurrence with some of the staff recommendations, although I don't necessarily know if I agree with having to force angled awnings compared to what they're showing in their illustration, but that would be an open question at the next meeting. That's all I have, thank
you. Commissioner Thompson?
No questions.
Commissioner Creech?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My only concerns are the proposed outdoor eating areas on the north and south of the property. The south eating area is right next to the drive-through from the Dunkin' Donuts, and they also have an exterior seating area. I was a little concerned about the sight lines for the people going through the drive-through, even though it's a short fence with the tables and the people there. I guess a stop sign for sure in that area would be prudent. And then the outdoor seating area on the north end, which extends the same distance into the drive area. I'm a little concerned about people reaching out their window and stepping on their gas and going right into that parking area. So I'd probably like to see bollards at least on that area, protecting the outdoor diners. And that's about the only problems I had with the buildings, actually. And the awnings, which I'm okay with what you put there, actually. It kind of goes with the building, so they might require you to match the other ones because of what's there, but that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Sprague?
Hi.
Hello.
I was there last night around 6 p.m. and I don't know if it's the Westin. I'm assuming it's the Westin that's using that lot right now for valet parking. There was 105 cars in that lot. Where will those cars go when this is developed? Do you know?
I would suggest
It's not their concern.
that they would go to the east, north of the hotel.
And if that lot is full, and I mean, I think there's a huge parking problem in this whole complex.
I would rely on the staff recommendation, but we're trying to.
Right now, there's open spots because the old Twin Peaks restaurant is closed. So that's allows for quite a bit more parking there, but if something eventually goes in there, there's going to be a huge parking problem in that complex.
Well, I would, again, rely on staff's analysis of the parking. They've recommended that our approach is acceptable to the spirit of what the development was intended to be when it was fully complete. There is plenty of parking from our perspective for the hotel use. It's just convenient for people to use this vacant lot because
I think, aren't
it's closer.
we as a plan commission kind of restricted on, because and now I understand there's separate ownership on all these different plots of land. So we can't,
It's a PUD though, it's a full, the entire area is under one planned unit development.
And and here's the approved PUD that's on your screen, and parking was established with that for each of the lots.
Back in 2005.
but the PUD also includes a building on this location, though, right?
Yes, yes.
Right, and so now that was supposed to be a restaurant, and so now it would be a restaurant with retail that requires less parking than what would be required for a 10,000 square foot restaurant.
So it's less. So to Commissioner Sprague's point, it's less than is already in the PUD. You're saying if you're doing restaurant and retail, it's less required than a full
Yes.
restaurant.
13 stalls, it reduces.
So, I mean, I don't think we can force the owner to leave it as a vacant parking lot because they obviously want to.
Right, it wasn't meant to be a parking lot.
It's It's not.
No, that's not my intent of the question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Want to know if they had a plan on, well, I guess it's more whoever's using that now, it's their problem, not yours.
Right.
But it was very evident that there was going to be a problem. With who, I'm not sure, but there's going to be a problem.
And you're correct, there's been issues with that, and a lot of it is directing the valet parking to park in the further parts of the Westin lot.
Because they're probably allowed more parking, they're just using it because it's closer, so.
They're not using their south lot as much.
Yeah, it's not Outlot B's problem. Westin has to move their cars or not use them. Maybe they don't need them there. Maybe they're just using them because it's there, but yeah, that's not your problem. You have 56 spots.
And then the angled awnings, I know staff was recommending that the center visit retail spaces have the angled awnings and then the ends have the flat canopies. Did you not want to entertain that, or?
Well, we would prefer to move forward with the design that we've
with the way it's
presented.
drawn.
We understand the staff position and the recommendation, but we weren't trying to literally continue what's already been developed on the property. We're trying to respond to it and reinterpret. I mean, it's going to be 2020, and so those buildings now are 15 years old. I don't remember the exact date of the original development, but my point is that we feel like we tried to respond to the massing and the colors, and our renderings are not that easy to replicate exact brick colors, so the real brick color is more in tune with the building that is next door to us. So we feel like if that's going to be something that is going to become a concern of the commission and the village board, we would consider it more. But at this stage, we feel that the building, the way it's designed, gives the most flexibility and aesthetic appeal to the marketplace and is commensurate with the other adjacent properties. So we're not saying we wouldn't change something, but we'd prefer to stay with what we proposed.
Yeah, I wanted to know what your take on it was. That was my quote, why I asked that. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Kalis.
Thank you, Chairman. Marcy, could you put back the rendering of the Outlot B proposed, please? Thank you. I'm trying to reconcile what's on the board there with what I see in the picture. I completely understand what you're saying, that more modern look is the gray and the dark gray and whatnot, but you did mention that you're trying to continue what is over there, but I don't see any. What elements would you be continuing from the existing? Because the color isn't and the awnings aren't.
Well, the general idea is that these rectilinear tower elements on the corners are trying to relate to the other building, but we're not literally making a rounded corner like the other building already has. That we feel like that's their signature, that's their approach. There was a particular thing in mind when that was done. We are trying to be flexible here because there are no specific branded users intended for this. And the life of this building will be extended if we stay away from very highly branded and signature architecture.
Sure.
So the corner tower elements are just trying to create a different way of expressing somebody who's going to want a little bit more recognition from Milwaukee than, say, the smaller tenants, which, sorry to be too frank about it, but, they pay less.
Yep.
So, when you're in the hotel and you're on the top floor, you pay a little more for that. When you're on the corner and on the end and you have a taller element and your sign sticks out better, then you pay a little bit more rent.
Okay. So it's mostly structural is what you're, there's the end caps kind of.
Yeah,
powers.
we're making an expression that could draw a certain user that wants to get their logo on that corner, which people will see. And then in the center section, we're trying to mimic what the other building has as an IFAS panel for signage above the storefront windows, and the rhythm of that, the tooled joints that are in that facade on the other building. And then we're using a very similar brick as our primary material so that we're meeting the design standards of the village.
Okay.
So, it's an abstraction.
Sure, okay.
But that's our approach, if that makes sense.
Sure, thank you. I have a question for the gentleman from the public, the owner of the other group. Can I ask him a question?
Yeah.
So as it pertains to the document that you've brought, I can't remember what you called it, but the agreement you have with Westin and theoretically the conversation that they need to have with you, is that reciprocal?
No.
So they don't have, they have to kind of give in to what you guys would desire, not the other way. If you actually agree with the Westin owner that maybe his look is more modern and you want to go the other way and you want to work together in that, he couldn't make that request of you?
No.
As it pertains to that? Okay.
Right, so the way that the declaration is written is lots, the Spears building, our building, and the Westin have approval rights of whatever gets built in there, basically, especially as it relates to changes.
Okay.
I'd also like to point out that I agree with your assessment of the parking over there. It's a problem. The number of parking spaces they have right now for that development is either 6 or 7, depending on how many you count, what's required on the declaration. So that, for me, that's a problem. That's 6 spaces in that spa is a lot. And in addition to that, I also wanted to point out that the minute I got this letter, I called Ware Malcolm and asked him to discuss this prior to coming to this meeting. And nobody, the owner, the developer, Ware Malcolm, refused to give me or discuss anything on that. They said, you got to look it up on the website when it gets up there. That's what we're going to share with you. So, and they knew we had this declaration. I didn't find that to be particularly accommodating, given the fact that we've got to work together. So,
okay.
To answer your question, so it's a restrictive covenant and declaration, so it's recorded against the property and it's agreement among all the property owners. And one of them is that no buildings or structures can be erected on the parcel unless the architectural renderings, foundation plan, and site plan have been approved by writing by, I believe, Midco or whoever owns the property now.
it references Lot 3.
Yeah, Lot 3, exactly. And which approval shall not be unreasonably withheld, conditioned, or delayed. So if they end up in a dispute, that's a dispute between them, and it has to be figured out before any construction of any kind.
Was this part of the PUD then?
No, this is a separate document.
So how does,
They have an agreement within their planned unit development, because each lot's owned by different owners, and they record that against the property.
I'm just curious how 2 owners get rights, but they don't.
Because it was all one owner.
It was all one owner originally.
Midco wanted to control what was going on in the whole thing, and they slowly but surely sold it all off. And as long as they hung on to Lot 3, they had control of the whole thing. I think that's essentially what happened.
Okay. Gotcha.
So Cooper's Hawk isn't part of this?
Cooper's Hawk is part of it. But they're not part of the approval process.
Clear as mud.
Right.
Okay.
So the bank either then, huh?
What's that?
The bank either has no say in it?
No.
Okay.
They don't.
And for the record, you're not even for or against anything, you just want to have a conversation.
Yeah, I'm not expecting that to be a surface parking lot forever.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm not for or against anything. It just, they threw this out there, didn't want to talk to us prior to coming to this, prior to this being put on the website. And so I'm here to voice my concerns that I think they should get approval from their neighbors prior to coming to the village so that they don't have to go back and do it again. And to avoid
because it's
the
required by that document.
Exactly.
Right? So.
Exactly.
Right, I mean, it's the applicant's
Yeah.
decision if they want to do it twice.
Yeah. I mean, in that case, I have a hard time deciding, I don't know, I like how it looks, but if it's not up to your standards, then it doesn't
It's
matter.
not the aesthetics, really. There's 6 or 7 less parking spaces than it's required under the declaration. That building is almost 10% bigger than the declaration allows.
Okay.
It's a change of use from what the declaration allows, and it's a change in the way that the traffic patterns versus what the declaration allows. So that's not one little thing. It's not the awnings or that's not what I'm talking about here.
Okay.
This is substantive stuff that affects me as the neighbor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have another thought / question, and it's not even for you, it's for the Plan Commission and staff, but I couldn't help but think, put this through the lens of the plan that the consultants that provided the plan for our village and where we should go in the future with the idea of putting buildings closer to the roads with parking behind, and giving the fact that we have the option of new construction, even though now it would be completely disjointed. I'm just curious, and it's not I don't even know if it's a question or a statement, but something that I thought about. I'm like, at what point do we start thinking about that? Because there's not much new development opportunity available to move buildings like that. We do here now, but it would look strange.
Yeah, I would point out that that specifically was for a small area within the
Dundee.
village to make it a more pedestrian-friendly
Okay.
zone. So I understand what you're thinking.
But this is
that-
not part of that zone?
No, it's
Yeah.
all the town center.
Okay.
But for
Okay,
the metro
then
area.
Strike that from the record.
So, but I understand where you're coming from, and I like where you're thinking, but that was,
Yeah.
we created this little area for,
Yeah.
to develop.
I was
Almost
just-
like a downtown feel.
When I saw that plan, and then I'm like, oh no, we have all these plans to not do that, so what do we do now? So I was
Nope,
just,
you're okay.
when I saw this, I'm like, oh crap, can we do this? So, okay, I'm good then, thank you.
Chairman, if I may? Sure. Just say something, and I don't want to make this between our neighbor and me, and you guys are the audience, but to understand the spirit, we were advised by our client that they needed to review the documents that Mr. Ryder has presented, and a few days ago, they did send an email to Mr. Ryder. I hope they got the right address, stating that it's our spirit to abide by the terms, and frankly, it's the law, so we will come to an agreement with our neighbor to develop this to everyone's satisfaction, to the extent that it's marketable and usable property. It's not going to be a single-user steakhouse. It's going to be a multi-tenant building. And we'll work through the concerns of our neighbor as we're required to. We have every intent of doing that. The existence of these records was not known to our client until Mr. Ryder made them known. And that's why we don't have an alignment. We're willing to work with Mr. Ryder and his client and the village staff. We would like to see a successful development here, something very similar to what we're proposing. Thank you for letting me explain that.
Thank you. My only comments, I'd like to go back to Commissioner Creech's comment about the drive-through and the fact that you have to turn to avoid hitting the people on that patio. That is something that should be looked at, either something that would prevent a car going through there or shifting that patio back so that couldn't happen. And then the staff had conditions already in there concerning the awnings, which seems like most people are okay with leaving what's on there, or what you're presenting, rather. And they talk about the bike rack, trash enclosure elevations, and landscaping quantities, which are all in the staff report that you received a copy of. So, along with that, and the comments about the drive-through, and a little concerned about the traffic pattern leaving the north end of that lot, conflicting with traffic coming in from Milwaukee Avenue, often at high speed. That's something you gotta look at real close. Fire department have anything of major concern on this going forward at this point?
Address most of our comments previously.
Okay. Engineering? No?
No, I think we're pretty good on it.
Okay.
Well, engineering,
Right.
pretty close.
All right, so then we're looking to continue this, but we don't really have a date certain because it's,
Well, we can say a date certain, and if they need more time, we can always do a continuation on the agenda and at that time. So we could say either the 22nd or that first,
how much
in
time do
February.
you feel you need to work with each other?
I'll be optimistic and say that we intend to find resolution and agreement as soon as possible, so we would like to be considered for the soonest possible, and we will work hard.
So like a
find an
month from now or
The
6 weeks from
next-
now?
The next possible meeting, not the 8th, I think I
Yeah.
heard earlier.
So I'd say,
22nd.
so it'd be the January 22nd?
Yeah,
We'd like to work
Okay.
hard toward that, and we'll have to reconsider after we've spoken to our neighbor at more length.
all
We
right,
can say the 22nd if they end up needing more time. It's
Yeah,
not.
right.
We just continue to another date certain, so it's not you just communicate with staff if you are finding that that date's not going to work for you with getting anything resubmitted in time.
Absolutely.
so I need a motion to continue 2019 26A to a date certain of January 22nd, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Kalis, Creech?
Commissioner Kayla votes yes. Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague?
Yes.
Commissioner Yadnick?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
And Chairman Johnson?
Yes. Also need a motion, 2019 26B.
So moved.
Second.
And this is to continue to a date certain of January 22nd.
All right, Commissioner Yadnick?
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague?
Yes.
Commissioner Kalis votes yes. Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Chairman Johnson?
Yes. And finally, PC 19-23, to continue to January 22nd.
So moved.
Second.
Kalis, Creech?
Commissioner Kalis votes yes. Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague?
Yes.
Commissioner Yadnick?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Chairman Johnson?
Yes. All right, we'll have some documentation on what happened here.
I just left the conditions as is. I know, we talked about the
Yeah,
drawings, but
We may have more. Don't need to sign anything, right?
no.
You had a printer hiding under there? I never
Yeah.
knew that.
And we will leave this public hearing open until we meet again, January 22nd.
Much appreciated. Thank you all
Thank
for
you.
your consideration.
Okay, we had docket number 2019-27, Fire Station 23, special use for public safety facility at 780 Wheeling Road, and docket PC 19-24 for the same Fire Station 23 for a major site plan and appearance review.
You can just
this
do
no-
motions to continue those.
We are, well,
Continue them to a
we
date
are
certain of-
continuing?
Yes.
Does he need to
No.
read anything at this point?
Nope.
So we need motions to continue each of these until January 8th.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Creech,
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague,
Yes.
Commissioner Kalisz votes yes, Commissioner Yednek,
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson,
Yes.
and Chairman Johnson.
Yes.
Do them both?
Was that both of them together?
That was the first
That
one.
was the first one.
Okay.
So PC 19-24.
So moved.
Second. Commissioner Creech.
Yes.
Commissioner Kalisz votes yes, Commissioner Sprague,
Yes.
Commissioner Yednek,
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson,
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes. All right, next up, we have approval of minutes of the regular meeting of December 5th, 2019, including findings of fact for docket number 2019-23.
I only had one correction this time.
And that correction?
We're doing a dog run, not a door run.
Oh. All right. That's been
Yes.
updated?
Yes.
Okay. So with that correction, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Other business. Ms. Nyes, let's start with you. You got anything?
No, I don't.
Mallory, you got anything?
No, I don't. Other than happy holidays, happy new year.
Thank you. Commissioner Yednek.
Nothing, thank you.
Commissioner Thompson.
Nothing.
Commissioner Creech.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since we seem to be having issues with trash enclosures all the time, I would like to see us establish a
Minimum standard?
a village standard for, commercial trash enclosures. I'm sure the size is going to vary depending on, if it's going in a restaurant or an apartment
Yeah.
building, whatever. But, establish some kind of a, standard. They could change the colors and everything, but, it has to be brick with metal doors and, bollards where necessary and so on and so forth. And then also, for residentials, which could be, metal posts and, cheater fencing, et cetera, to, kind of eliminate this so that you can just hand them a piece of paper and say, this is what you got to have. And I would like to wish everyone a happy holiday, all my fellow commissioners, and of course, our wonderful staff here in Wheeling. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Sprague.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Merry holidays to all and Happy New Year. That's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Kalisz.
Thank you, Chairman. Along with Commissioner Creech, I would like to discuss that. Also throw in the idea that we roundtable the parking variance thing, the parking code in general, and how we always have variances, if there's anything we can look at to adjust that. I don't know how that works, but I've said in the past, and if we have a workshop or something, I don't know, just to decrease the amount of parking variances that we are up against because of seemingly outdated code based on how people build things these days and our land forms in Wheeling. So the other thing was the packet that they presented with all the spa forest, with all the renderings and the colors, and a lot of that stuff I didn't see in here. Is that stuff? And I know with the new packet format, you take out something, you don't bloat it. But is there any possibility we could get stuff like that ahead of time? Like, I know we took away a lot of stuff, but oftentimes I'm missing things that I see here that I would have liked to have seen prior.
They, the applicant is allowed to give us a presentation if they want, and so they usually give it to us the day before the meeting.
So you didn't have it.
So you can load it.
So we can load it, and that presentation took a while to load. It
Okay.
was so big. But, we can ask for things sooner. We usually put in everything we have. But, yeah, I got that yesterday at 7 o'clock at night.
I mean, the intention was to make it easier and less bloated of our packets, but I'm finding that when, there's 3 different parts of this one, so I have to look and which one is it in, then you have to click each link, and it's like, you have to open up 7 tabs. It's kind of a nightmare.
So what I did this
I'm not as big a
time,
fan of board docs either.
Yeah.
yeah, I
Right,
put
that's-
everything in the first one.
Okay, so it's always
So
in
I
the
think
first one.
Before, we were trying to break it all up, but everything is in that A or whatever the first one is.
Yeah, okay.
And then we can put like smaller parts in.
Well, I had to quit at one point because it was clocking so long to get anything to come up.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then I
really?
had to come back, and it was, yeah, the old system was much more efficient.
Yeah, in general, usability is just more challenging. So not anything I can't get over, but
Well,
given the option, I like the old format better. That's all.
that's it.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I'll concur with that. I prefer the old way because you could put notes right on it. And it would only be on your screen, but that's progress. As far as other business, let's see. Well, happy holidays to everybody. For our home viewers, our planning commission meetings will be moving to a new time slot in 2020. Beginning with our January 8th meeting, our regularly scheduled meetings will be held on the second and fourth Wednesdays of each month at our normal time of 6:30. And in November and December, they will be shifted to the first and third weeks to avoid the holidays.
You think anybody at home made it this long?
News hasn't started.
Very
yet.
exciting stuff.
With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Adjourned.
Better not